I like the first part. The second part's what I don't like. There it is. There she got it.
Yeah. It tastes like straight peel. Oh, wow.
It's like lemon oil or lime oil. You know, it's like citrus oil almost. It tastes like, it's like, whoa, what's going on there? But the florally part on the first notes is really nice. So that's what you get with the mandarin. There she goes. That's the bitterness. I know.
Yeah.
It's heavy, isn't it?
Yes.
It's no joke.
Yes.
It's
wow.
no joke. You know how all of our crops put in the...
Hi lovers, I am here in Gainesville. This family-owned farm feeds thousands of families per month, and it started out with just 2 acres. Now it is 50 acres with over 1,400 different fruit trees, 80 crops, and pigs that you can eat fresh pasteurized meat from. John has created a system that sustains itself. In just 15 years, he's completely changed the scope of what it means to have real organic food, season after season. Come with me and watch until the very end so that you can see what it really takes to build something so beautiful and abundant and natural in your community, and what it means to eat from a farm like this versus a grocery store. All right, let's go.
Right. 90% of my time now is like administration and just like trying to keep, You're
a businessman.
Well, I can see the result is that basically we're feeding tens of thousands of people here, and that was our goal.
Tens of thousands.
Yes, tens of thousands of people. Like however you want to count it, over the year, over the months, over the there's a lot of people that eat from not just our farm, but with the system that we built of like aggregating.
So how far is everything?
So,
like how many acres?
So total acres here we have 62 acres, and so
wow.
So 62 acres. It's like our gross, what we operate total, but about 50 planted.
Oh,
and so,
wow.
Yeah, and that's not all with cash crops at the same time. That's like, 50 acres will have, a mix of cover crops. We'll go around today, but you'll see some cover crops. You'll see some different grazing going on, We have a lot of pigs here. Sometimes we were up to 100 pigs at one point. Now we're down to about like 35 pigs or so. So that's more manageable. We got about 300, 400 chickens on site.
Wow.
So they do a lot of grazing for us as well, And that's what our approach is, to find the full circle and what it can, basically you have to balance every part of the farm. You can't have too many potatoes planted because you can't do that every year. You guys know a lot about crop rotation, and so we live and die by it here. This is our ultimate goal is to find the sequence that can perpetuate itself here.
Got you.
So I want to be able to leave that to our team as that's something we've been developing, and it'll change. So I can't give you a specific sequence. It has to be more of like a guidelines. And here's what you have to change when the weather impacts it, or here's what to change. Here's how to make decisions, basically.
I know it took a long time to figure that out.
We're still figuring it out.
Right.
Exactly.
So how long have you been here?
We started in 2011. And
okay.
so, we started with about 5 acres on the other side of the fence line. We'll walk over there. That's like the old part of the farm.
Yeah.
And then we were over here in 2013. And then we were over in this area in 2016. So we kind of added in chunks. And we were able to grow. Let me put this down in the shade. Yeah. And then we'll start walking around. So let's see, make a little itinerary.
Should I grab my water?
Yeah, grab your water, just because I think we're going to be out for a bit, and we're going to be talking a lot. So.
And we got a lot of walking to do.
We got a lot of walking to do.
50 acres?
Yeah. Walking and talking,
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's the whole theme of the channel is walk with a friend.
It's awesome.
Whee!
Yeah. So we'll go by the greenhouse. That was your first request too.
Yeah.
So they're right on the same trip. So basically, we learned we were one of those farms that started off of trying to be, I don't want to say that in a bad way. We were a farm that had a lot of energy out of the gates, and we're like, we're going to sell only what we grow, and we want to be that farm, that ideal farm, at the farmers markets, you're going to have all sorts of good offerings. Your CSA is going to be rocking. People are going to be so happy with everything you got, and that. Now I can tell you, like decades later, that's an unrealistic expectation. So so any new farmers that are into this, don't try to live by that. That is my highest recommendation, because it puts a real heavy pressure on you to perform. And sometimes, no matter how good you are, the sky falls and you can't help it. Like, and so what do?
Yeah.
You know, you put all your investment into this, you know, and that right there, if you want to sum it up, is why farmers have such one of the highest suicide rates. It's really, really heavy, but we need to acknowledge that. And so, like, as a small farmer, especially, if we can avoid having like mental health issues at all, if there's one thing we can really do, is to like set those expectations right, you know, to begin with. Like, you know, you don't have to do everything yourself. And so, like, really, our goal now, and I wish I would have known, like, just at the beginning, I kind of knew, but I didn't really know. Our goal is really just to get good at what we're doing. Like, we don't want to have to, like, you know, grow too many different things. We want to get good, maybe like 20 or 30 different crops, you know, that we do well. We used to grow 80 crops, you know, and so we still probably grow 50 crops or more, you know, so we still are a little over leveraged on, you know, how many different things we're doing. But those usually come down to things that we just can't, like, not give up. They're like habits. So, like, we have to have a little bit of broccoli this year, even though it's going to cost us, you know, we'll plant a little bit of broccoli. We plant lots of spring mix and radishes and things like that, you know. But yeah, they basically, in terms of how to balance it all out, you want to find out what you get good at. You know? And then where I was going with that thought is to bring your friends into the whole equation. So at the farmers markets in the community, like, we don't want to be competing with small farms. We know that they're our best allies. They're the people that are feeling this the most, you know. And so what we've done is we find the, you know, small farms that have the same growing practices as us, you know, like all organic, all natural fertility, no chemicals, you know, all the important things, you know, that were the reasons we started doing this. And so now we put all of our work together, and then you see it at the farmers market. Like, you know, it's like, what did that look like? That looked better than Whole Foods, you know? It's like, and so that's the effect that we want. You know, and it's the real deal. Like, people go there, they find the produce, they look at the price tag, and they're like, oh, wow, that's Little Pond Farm, or wow, that's not, you know, he's telling all the sources. I'm like, that's what we want. We want the transparency there, so people know, you know, how their produce gets there, you know? And be aware when you go to the grocery store, it's quite different, you know? Like,
it is.
We want you to understand the quality and the value of ours, you know? And so that's where we made that decision in 2017. So, you know, from 2011, 2012, we were, you know, grow your own farm, you know, literally only, and we did great for like 5 years. And then it was El Nino year of 2017. And we're like super leveraged into planting and into marketing. You know, we had a lot of people on the team that were not necessarily in the field. They were like doing like farmers markets and helping us with the early stages of distribution, like getting into the chefs and stuff. And then, you know, what happens when all of a sudden you don't have product? And you're looking at a horrible decision, you know, of having to like discontinue jobs, you know, and you're like, you just don't have the income, you know, and there's a lot of payroll, you know, and so we reached out to our friends. We reached out to Jordan Brown at Family Garden, and let's see, I believe Noah maybe over at Swallowtail, Cody over at Siembra. But it was like the early stages of this group of growers here in Gainesville, and we're like, what do you guys got? Like, we want to get it on board now. You know, we're going to change the game, and like, you know, we want to bring your high quality product that complements ours, you know, to our chefs, to our markets in Orlando, places that they weren't already. You know, we didn't want to go into Gainesville and sell their product, you know, but like, but definitely, you know, like, let's take it out to St. Augustine. You're not there, you know. And we didn't know how it would work out with our customers. You know, we're like, all right, our customers are going to abandon us, you know, if we have like other partner grower stuff on the table. And it was quite the opposite, you know, and they're like, we love this.
That's awesome.
And so we started looking at the summertime as the real challenge. After that, we're like, okay, this worked to get us through a pinch in the fall of 2017, and we saw the success. So then, you know, we got into the next summer. Like, you know, the hardest thing about this in Florida is the seasonality of it. Just like, you know, super big season, super low season, you know, and to employ people through that, you know, like, how do you keep, you know, we have 30 something full-time equivalent jobs right now on site. So how would we keep that if we only grew products that we sold during, you know, June, July, August, September? And how do you keep that volume, you know? And so you can't. And so what we do, we actually go to growers in North Carolina, like in Asheville. So we run our truck to Asheville, and we've made really good relationships with some small farms up there. They're doing all regenerative methods, certified organic, of course. And they keep us supplied, you know, from South Carolina, Southern Georgia, that whole route basically.
That's beautiful.
Will keep us supplied all the way through, like, till the next Florida season starts. And so in this moment, I get to say everything on the table table is from Florida. But if you talk to me in like July, I'll be like, yeah, we got about like 70%, you know, Florida, 30%, you know, North Carolina. Maybe by September it's like 50-50, you know, or so, you know, and then it comes back up, you know, in the fall. And we of course we want to keep our growers going because, you know, Little Pond Farm will start taking over like when all the growers up north like shut down. So they complement us throughout the whole like, you know, cool season here, you know. Yep. And then Urban Vegetable Project, they're all the way down in Indiantown, so you know, Palm Beach County, and so they do a great job of keeping the warm season stuff going through the wintertime. So now we're putting together this whole chain of growers so that we can always have a really good like marketing offering, you know. And our chefs like it too, you know. They're just like, wow, you know, the list, you know, I have chefs that's been with us for 15 years now, you know, so and they're like, I remember when the list was like 12 items, you know, and he's like, it's 65 items or something right now. I'm like, I know, it's pretty cool. I mean, and so so that's pretty fun too. That's where we found, that's where my job is these days, is like, you know, not only making sure the farm is, you know, profitable and productive, but also making sure that, you know, all the produce gets purchased and sold correctly, you know, and making sure that like everybody kind of knows what they're doing in the organization. So I try to hand those tasks off, but there's still some tasks that I have to look at every day in those departments, you know. So that's what I have to do, like spreadsheets and meetings and calls and texts. And like, I know, that's where farming led. But at the same time, I look at it and I'm like, you know what? This is what I saw this is what I saw 10 years ago, 12, you know, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, and I was dreaming this up. I was like, it is really about like feeding thousands of people. So you have to employ a lot of people to feed thousands of people. You know, and that's true. That's the hardest thing right there, is keeping everybody happy, living in, you know, in harmony, more or less, you know. And I mean, we couldn't do this without all the angels that like help us out every week, you know. And it's like anybody who's working here has made a conscious decision of what they're going to do with their time. And so you know, we could not do that without all the dozens of people like on the same day saying, this is what is my time is best spent doing, you know. And they put their hard work into it and they make this happen, like, you know, week after week. It's kind of a miracle, you know, in terms of like having all of our experience. And I'm sure you've had your experience working in this country. I've had this experience working in this country. It's really hard to find any kind of like team that can generate, you know, their own income. That's what it is. And so like in your corporate America, you're so far removed from the profit generation, you know, like people don't understand that it's, you know, what they're doing every day is what generates their income. Here, it's literally like we're picking it and selling it. Like that is your paycheck right there. And so it takes a very special person that can like operate in that system, you know, have the accountability, have the responsibilities of like you know, working at a farm. And then being able to work in a group with people too, you know. So I have to, you know, hands down, this is only possible because of like the dozens and dozens of angels that help us out every week. And you know, I'm just here to kind of like, you know, keep the ship on course. You know? Like I can't be you know, credited with much of this. You know, it's like I started it, but the goal is for it to get rolling where it lives way beyond me. So, you know, if I get in a horrible wreck tomorrow, you know, I want this place to keep on going. We've basically made a decision to run a distributor as one business and Frog Song Organics as our other business. So it's like our farm. And it is, I mean, it's how it's always been. But we had to grow to a certain point where like, all right, this makes sense to, you know, have two different businesses here, you know? And so I can't make the farm bigger than 62 acres. You know, I don't want to. I don't want to make, you know, for employment reasons alone, it's too hard to find enough angels to work on, you know, more and more acres here. You know, it's like, it's at this point in the game, I think this is good for like American farming, you know, like 50 acres or so, you know. But on the other hand, you know, how do you advance? How do you know, give people raises? How do you constantly get better, you know, and improve the situation? And that's with the distributor. You know, the distributor's got to be able to rally for the value of the product. And that's why it was so necessary. I couldn't just go to another distributor. I talk to other distributors all the time, but you know what they do? They compare me to imported organic prices. Always. Yeah, it's really hard, you know, and like they're telling me what the price of organic cucumbers is that week. And I'm like, would you just tell me country of origin? And they say Mexico. I'm like, how are we supposed to do it? You know, like we cannot do that as growers in this country. So we've had to invent the whole distributor business out of response to that. And that's our marketing niche, is this no import. You don't want to eat import. You don't know where it's from. You don't have any idea. You know, there was not a USDA inspector making sure that was organic. And there was certainly not an organic USDA inspector at every point that it changed hands or went into another container. And so those are the points that you have to be most concerned about.
And that's regarding
like
organic
organic
imported
status.
food.
Exactly.
From other countries.
So,
right.
and the further away, it could be from California, you know?
Yes.
So I was, you know, one of the reasons I know a lot about this is I was in organic inspections for 14 years. I was doing organic inspections for certifiers. So for like third-party certifiers.
Yeah.
And so they would pay me to go out there and do the work of like, you know, auditing the records, touring the facility, interviewing the employees. And the general idea is to make sure that the operation's doing what they say on paper. And that was my job. And so I loved that. That was like the coolest job ever.
Yeah.
But then after doing it for over a decade, I saw too many situations where the certifiers would not take the correct measures. And then worse yet, the USDA would not follow up on the correct measures.
Yeah.
And so there was too many times that it was like fraud going unabated, basically. Unabated fraud, you know, and that's, and I can't even get into the specifics of it, you know, on camera. But there's so much fraud in the system of not just USDA organic, but all the parts. And so I saw that from, you know, when I was in my early 20s, I was a conspiracy theorist. By the time I was in my 30s, I got to tell you all sorts of stuff about like what chemicals they are, how they counterfeit this stuff, and how it's all done along the supply chain. And so the supply chain is really the issue when you're talking about imported or like far away organic, you know. I would see it come from California. I knew the operation in California. I knew how it was cut in California. It was not organic when it was in California. By the time it got to the, you know, warehouse on the East Coast, not disclosing anything, it was organic. These magical trucks would turn them into organic on the route, okay? Yeah, they'd start with, you know, 20 pallets of non-organic produce, and they would receive some pallets in as organic.
Yeah.
And that's the magical trucks that convert non-organic produce to organic.
You gotta get into that trucking business.
Yeah. So without disclosing anything here, that's what would happen too many times.
Yeah.
And then I started understanding why we are so why the pricing is so undercut in the grocery stores. You know, how can a small grower never approach those prices you know, of the green?
It's not feasible.
Because some of it's counterfeit.
Yeah,
and whatever portion that is, you know, whatever that portion is profit for somebody else. And so that's how the whole food system works.
Wow.
And counterfeiting is you can put a certain amount of counterfeit into any of these commodities, and somehow it generates some income.
The food game, the drug game.
Yeah, but when you're doing it on billions of repetitions, people are making millions. You know.
Millions.
Millions.
Yeah.
So anyway. That's what drove me to work here so much. So now let's go in the greenhouse. Transition.
Oh my God, I didn't even know where we were standing. I was so captivated by what you were saying. Look at these stars.
Yes. So
wow, John.
I can't take credit for how beautiful these are because we purchased these. So anything in the brown boxes we get from Barnett Parton, which are amazing transplant growers.
Wow.
So super props to them. They grow really healthy peppers. Tomatoes and eggplants for us because we'd have to heat our greenhouses to have these ready, you know.
Yeah.
So we don't do that. We you'll see my greenhouse strategy is super low key and like I don't want much investment in greenhouses because hurricanes take them away.
Okay.
And not just hurricanes take them away, March storms take them away.
Yeah.
April cold fronts take them away.
Got
you know, like all sorts of stuff can destroy this greenhouse. And so you really don't, as a grower, as idealistic it is to like control the environment, you can't.
Yeah.
There's an environment outside your environment.
Right.
And you're in Florida. So like
you're in North Florida, which is another more
we get more violent cold fronts sometimes.
Yeah, you get a lot variation in your temperatures.
Exactly. We have a huge swing.
Yes.
19 in the low, 112 in the high maybe or something.
Exactly.
You know? So,
very unstable.
Yeah. But these guys, you know, these are awesome. And then over here, anything in the black trays are the ones that we grow on site.
Oh,
and so we got pumpkins, we got lettuces that won't go out anymore. We kind of finished with lettuce season about like 2 weeks ago.
Okay.
Got some beautiful tomato plants that need to go out.
Yeah.
And
so these lettuces are going to go out or not?
Well, here's the hard thing about transplanting. Probably not. These guys, we ended up making a decision not to plant the reds because they get too hot. So in this moment when we're trying to get like all the last weeks of lettuce season, if we plant green lettuce like romaine especially, it has a lot better chance of making a nice head versus the red ones. The red ones do actually really good in the wintertime. When it's cold, they actually gather more heat from the temperature of their leaf, you know? Like the red leaf can run better in a cold environment and the green leaf can run better in a hot environment.
For sure.
Right, more or less. It's pretty cool. So anyway, these get abandoned.
So you feel like it's more of a loss to just leave them versus to transplant them out and see what it would do?
Yes.
Okay.
This is mitigating loss, basically.
Yeah.
We have seed cost, we have time to do the transplants, the transplant mix, the trays we reuse. So there's some reusable parts, but there's some not reusable parts, you know?
Yeah.
But ultimately, you'll see we're pretty well stocked in all the fields. So if we don't really have a lot of extra area to put them into, but then the real energy comes with like transplanting.
The labor.
Yeah. And then irrigating. Irrigating is the hardest right now. So every ounce of water has to be delivered to the crops right now because it's not raining like for the next week, you know, or more.
Yeah.
And so that's where this would be really challenging, is if we spent all that energy of irrigating and cultivating and all that stuff and it didn't make a crop. And then so you can only do that so many times in business before you don't do it anymore, you know?
And that's what I'm thinking, like 15 years of
trying to learn this, right? Yeah.
You've pretty much honed in on what you're not gonna do again.
Yeah, well, and also we don't want to ever not have lettuce transplants. It's like, it's better for us to have some overage, you know, at the end of the season. And this is kind of what's piled up from a long lettuce season, 8 months of lettuce season. This is kind of our backed up stuff. So, you know, we need to just compost it, move on, you know.
Yeah.
But what's really important is that we always have transplants to put in the ground, and that like all the fields that we can fill are filled.
Exactly.
So that's the real important part. We'll see that in the actual ground, you know. This just supports that, you know. So even if we have waste here, it's sometimes better to have a smaller amount of waste here and not so large out there, you know, where you can have long-term impacts too, like the soil quality and like all that stuff too.
Right.
You know? Not to mention the other crops would fail because you put resources towards a crop that might not end up well. You know, so you have to have a lot of confidence on your crops if you're going to put all those resources towards them. You know,
facts.
And we still lose. Like we lost our strawberry crop this year again, third year. Lost it. I know, it's so crazy.
Are you going to keep doing strawberries?
Hell no. I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm done. Moringa, you guys like moringa?
Yes, I'm looking at these mulberries.
Oh yes, let's go pick some.
So is this a native?
No, not at all. This one, I don't know where the origin of it is. It's a Middle Eastern variety of some sort. Watch your head right here. We can kind of cut through right here. See if we got any ready. The frost burnt a lot of them off. It's really sad. I think the south side actually has some more.
Oh, you have some figs.
Some figs right here too. Yep. The frost even burnt the figs this year. It's crazy. Like, look at this.
Yeah.
It was nuts. You know, I've never seen that happen with our figs before. So this was a giant, beautiful fig tree last year.
Wow.
And as it's coming back to foliation this year, as it's leafing out basically, it's showing me that it really got fried. I mean, like the bark split on it. I'm like, oh my god.
Maybe even like
it's
my fig just started
Oh
expressing itself too, and
but you see, like, this is pretty much dead. Like,
and that's what I'm like, dang, can you really kill a fig tree from or kill branches? Yeah, from a frost.
Well, it's a combination of like two things. You can see there's a pathogen too that's getting into that wood, you know?
Yeah.
So it was probably the pathogen already had started, because it would be hard to argue to me that pathogen wasn't there 12 months ago, but it definitely wasn't manifesting. There was definitely, nice foliage out here last year. So I probably didn't even see it because it was covered with, nice leaves. And then this year, when the frost hit it, probably where that damage is was just super sensitive already. And it was just like, all right, that's it.
So can you explain to people how you can tell where the pathogen is?
Yeah, let's look at that. So it's this rot right here. So it's a split bark. It's like two things in one, I think. And this is not validated. This is just my hypothesis, is that like this whole area in here last year started getting a rot. Like we see it on some of the other figs, but not usually this bad. And these are new varieties that we haven't tried out before. This is, I think, LSU purple or so. It's some Louisiana varieties.
Okay.
And so when we planted them, it was more of a trial. And so what happened, I think, is that that was going along probably for like the last 18 to 24 months in some degree, and not nearly as bad as it looks now. And then when the frost hit it this year, it was over. It was like it already made that like tissue kind of like sensitive or whatever, and then it didn't have the cold hardiness that we would have expected. And so I think that's what's going on, if I had to guess. But I could be wrong. Maybe you'll see in the comments, like, John doesn't know what he's talking about. That's all good. That's all good. All I can do is learn.
Right, because I'm going to be like, oh, yeah, it's the spot. It's the white spots. Yeah.
Oh, the white spots are the lichens. Yeah, those are pretty. I like lichens. Let's see if we can find a few mulberries here. My goodness, this tree usually produces a lot, and it's not really on this year.
They're like higher up,
I know,
too.
right? Let me see if I can pull this one
Somebody got here before us.
Yeah, right?
Maybe the deer. Do you guys have like animals that come out?
Well, normally we'd have like this whole tree would be loaded, but what happened was we had a frost, not the big one. Here you go, Kayla. Here's a few up here. Can you get, that one might be good. It's gonna be a little tart.
Yeah, just a little.
Yeah.
Let's see.
How was that?
I taste the potential. Okay.
Yeah, it's got potential.
Here's a darker one.
Yeah, okay. We gotta get a really nice dark one. That's the one that stains your hands. Yeah,
Right.
I could see the potential, but it wasn't very good. Let's see about this other one. So what I was saying is that during that frost in March, this thing had a bunch of flowers and they got nuked.
Your
Here's-
mulberries?
Yep.
I didn't even know they flowered.
Yep.
They go to fruit so quick.
That one might have had a nibble by somebody else already. Here's a pretty good one. Oh, here you go, Kayla. Here's a few of them right up in here.
Okay, let's see.
Different degrees of ripeness. That one, and then, yeah, that's the one I saw. Hopefully that one's a good one.
It's giving me, oh.
Oh, it's like half ripe. That's a good one. There you go.
You want this one? Oh, it's really good.
So what I've learned from fruit in Florida, you can't count on it. And so, you know, as a commercial grower, I want to have a business that's all, you know, fruit oriented is
Yeah.
so unsustainable. Like that's an unrealistic expectation in Florida.
Part 2
Yeah.
of what not to do as a
Yeah,
farmer.
don't expect to pay paychecks off of fruit crops because they're so fickle. Every one of them. Like
Yes.
this tree has produced incredibly well for the last 4 years, 3 or 4 years. It's pretty young actually. It's like maybe 5 years old, 6 years
This
old.
tree?
Yeah, it's real.
Jesus!
This tree has grown crazy.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, because these mulberries, we found there's another tree on the other side too. They love our greenhouse area.
Okay.
They get like the kind of peripheral resources of like the irrigation and stuff, you know. So the
5 years?
I know, right? It's so crazy.
Jeez.
Yeah. So when they yield, and
Yeah.
but this will be a light yielding year. But yeah, normally.
And then that would have been a light yield for your pockets.
Oh,
It's
well,
like, ain't nobody got time for that.
I know. Like, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
I have to pay the paychecks on carrots this year and onions, okay, not mulberries. Yeah, let's go check these guys
citrus.
out. Yep. So this is actually a rootstock citrus. So it's not. We have a use for
Should have
this.
worn my boots. I knew
Oh yeah.
it.
Oh, sorry. Do you have?
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Croc's gonna do it.
I'll try to stick through the areas that aren't too weedy. But I wanted to show you these plum trees here.
Okay.
We can kind of come up over here. This is beautiful. But so story of this citrus tree is that we use it for our cane syrup. So
Okay.
I believe it's a yuzu. Somebody can correct me on that if I'm wrong. But we always knew it as like a bitter orange that was from like Japan. And so it's got a really nice fragrant, it's both in the rind and in the juice. And it's got
Okay.
it's very florally, but
Yeah.
then it's definitely bitter on the aftertaste.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so it's not really good for orange juice. But it's good for marmalade, it's good for preserves and stuff like that. But what we do is in our sugarcane, we squeeze about 3 of these guys into the sugarcane juice as we're making it. And it
wow.
provides just enough of a desirable adulterant, you know, so to say,
Yes.
that it makes it not crystallize on us.
Okay.
And I didn't understand for years why my teachers were doing that. And they didn't understand either. They just thought it was for the flavor. And I was like, no way, there's such little juice. You could not taste the flavor in there, you know?
Yeah.
But then somebody told me about the chemistry of it. You know, you're basically disrupting that crystal lattice. And so what the problem with our cane syrup is it's too pure. And it's like, you know, it's all sugar after we
Yeah.
get done with it. And so it crystallizes on its own. If you put just a little bit of the orange juice in there, it
Yeah.
basically solves that issue. So we found a way to market, or found a way to use like a unusable variety. And then we keep it around if we want to make more rootstock. We can grow these seeds out and then we can graft on them in the future.
Okay.
Yeah, because they obviously grow really well with not any greening. So it's like, you know, it's like, this is a good variety. This is a good,
For
good
sure.
It's a good genes. We're looking for good genes, you know, in terms of the, for citrus greening. We can go like down that whole deep dive too.
But this tree is the best citrus tree that I've seen, most loaded citrus tree next to like a kumquat.
And it did this without any help.
Wow.
Like no frost protection.
That's amazing.
Look at these dudes.
How do you not get distracted? Oh my God,
Yeah.
is that his butt or his balls?
Those are his balls.
Wow.
I told you I am committed to animal welfare, okay? So one of the most stressful days of a boar's life would be the day that it gets castrated.
Neutered, yeah.
And they do not get castrated in our system.
Okay, so that's something that they do at farms?
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Wow.
We're one of the only farms that raise our boars out without castration.
Could I touch it?
Of course. Just watch their teeth because they might want to try to nibble a little bit.
Oh,
You doing good?
nibble.
Yeah. Just
On me?
Well, you might smell good to them. So
Oh,
here you go.
I'm scared.
Don't worry. You want to come
How
here?
do I even approach you? You're huge.
Yeah, he's
bigger
got to
up
get
close.
in here with us. Yeah, it's all
Hi.
good. His brother's going to push him into us.
Oh my God.
You just want to see us, huh?
I'm like, where do I come from?
There you go.
Hi.
There you go. So every day is a good day on our farm for the animals. That's what we're trying to make is a system that they're happy in.
And they feel so calm.
Exactly.
They're not stressed. Their immune system.
You don't see cortisol here, you know?
Exactly, which means quality meat.
That's ultimately the end product for our customers is a meat that is raised within their values and way more nutritious than what you could find commodity-wise. Because when they eat this grass, their fat actually gets, oh yeah, he's gonna perform for you, sorry. They love doing this for some reason. You bring people over.
And they start shitting. That's crazy.
Yeah. But you can see, that's the fertility right there.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, it's the whole system.
Yes.
And so, you know, pathogens are a problem with pigs if you keep them in captivity. You know, you can see what happens with the manure, you know, and in our system, it's turned under the ground within a week or so. And so we don't have a bunch of like pathogens, a bunch of vectors for disease and stuff.
You don't have to use your teeth.
Yeah, that's what I was worried about.
He's a little one, so he's younger.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Or just a runt. He's actually from the same, these red ones are from the same litter, I think. Yep.
Wow.
They all wanted to poop over there for some reason.
Oh my God. They're just showing out.
You get the whole show and tell here. So we keep them separate.
Okay.
So the boars have to stay over here and the females have to stay over there.
And that's for
so they don't try to mate.
Yes.
So, yeah, we have a honeymoon suite. That's where the mating all belongs.
Where the magic happens.
Exactly. So the pigs had just finished up there and we're ready to plant in this block this week. So this soil's already turned over twice now, and that was about like maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so this week we'll make up the beds. We'll put in squash this week actually.
Beautiful.
And we'll be growing cucurbits in this block for like the rest of the springtime.
And these are 2 blocks.
Yep, 2 blocks. Yep, split. We call it 1 block because originally it was 1 block, but then we ended up putting in the sugar cane. Yeah, and splitting it up.
Okay.
So now we've got like 2 halves more or less. We all of our blocks have letter names and letter numbers. So this is L8 center west, and we've got west and east sides of it. But they'll both go into a similar rotation, so we don't have to get too complicated on it. It's already pretty complicated.
Oh no, are they fighting?
Oh, they always have a little bit of you know, how you say, pecking order establishment, especially for shade. And you can see there's plenty of shade there for them.
Yeah,
so, like,
they're
just like, I want
boys
that spot. That's my spot. You know?
Just like
it's got my name on it, you know. Or I licked that one. You know?
I was just about to say how happy they look though. Like they're so calm.
Thank you.
That's so beautiful.
That is our goal. Like I said, I didn't set out to be a livestock producer, but I found that in order to grow good vegetables, I need livestock involved with the operation. You know, that's all debatable how it happens in the future, but it's not debatable that you need an animal in your system to help you turn over the resources.
Yes.
So yeah, without the animal, you have too much liability. Like you'd have the liability of the sweet potatoes, you know?
Yeah.
And like the weedy sweet potatoes. And so with the pigs, we're able to turn that liability into a resource. The pigs eat that. It's a huge source of their forage. So like sweet potatoes are so nutritious for them, you know? So that they eat the sweet potatoes in the cover crop that's growing on top of the sweet potatoes.
Yeah.
You have to feed them hardly anything. There's not, you know, so that's really where the gains are. It takes a lot of time to move them around. It takes a lot of time to, you know, administrate their program and make sure they're all happy and fed, you know, feeds ordered. Electric's all working twice a day. You know, there's a lot that goes into like the management of it. We got to bring them water twice a day, you know, with the hoses and stuff. But it's hoses, but you still have to do this. And so after you guys leave, I'll be doing the afternoon animal chores where I go around and basically take care of each group of animals, you know, make sure they're good. And that requires twice a day from people, you know, so there's a lot of expenses to do it. But, you know, all in all, it's a net positive because they're building fertility in the soil. They took away a pest pressure that you had, you know, and at your market, you know, you have something that does not exist in the grocery store. It's a really high quality protein that, you know, it makes you feel like, you know, I mean, for the meat eaters out there, it made me feel like a lot like different health-wise than if you were to eat like meat from like a grocery store or something. Like the commodity meat is high in omega-6s. This is high in omega-3s. So, you know, if you're trying to get your omega-3s, you want to get it from a pasture-raised animal. Like that's what makes the omega-3s. At the same time, you can get that whole system that promotes animal welfare, you know, promotes the environment. You don't see manure leaching everywhere in our system. The manure goes right into the soil and goes into the next crop. So it's beautiful how, you know, you cycle things.
And that's another thing I'm sure that also has a lot of corruption. I've watched my own documentaries and done my own research on pasture raised animals and
when they're
how,
not verified, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah, they'll have a dirt lot and they call it a pasture. I'm like, sorry
Exactly.
guys, no, that's a pasture.
Exactly.
You know, like actually getting the salad bar. They need the
Right.
salad bar.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And thank you, Kayla, for acknowledging that. That is actually one of the biggest challenges, is like getting the good marketing in this, you know. And
yeah, because they've muddied up the water
Exactly.
so much that, yeah.
no, all of our other citrus, like our grapefruits and all the, you
Yeah,
know,
so-
all the varieties got frost protection.
And these are white.
Now,
I thought these
good
were
question.
like totally different trees, but
These are, so those are grapefruits over there, the second row.
okay.
These are, see them?
Oh,
So
there's actual fruit.
I wanted to bring you this tree because
Is
this
this a peach?
nope,
No.
it's related. It's a plum.
Oh.
So we grow a lot of plums.
Wow.
And so what we found is that we can cover, they're like camouflage, right?
Yes.
You can hardly see them. Yeah.
That's crazy.
And so we found that kale and clay is our best option for.
Okay.
We have a natural pest here, or natural. We have a native pest called the plum curculio. And it's really bad because it lives in all the adjacent area, like in the woods and the tree lines and stuff.
Oh, wow.
There's a bunch of wild cherries and,
Okay.
and wild plums. We
Yeah.
have two different species of prunus. Prunus is the genus of all these stone fruits.
Okay.
And so it's got its native genus all around. So we have a native stock of pest all around.
Yes.
And it comes out.
waiting.
Yes.
Like, yes, he's planting
And
them.
these trees for years would not yield anything.
Okay.
Yeah, because they were getting just attacked by these pests,
Yeah.
and anybody who's grown stone fruit on the East Coast knows about the plum curculio. So
Okay.
plum curculio is it's a little weevil that like will I think, and your comments will tell this if I'm right or not, is it makes a little incision with its proboscis, which is like its nose, you know, or its mouth. And then it oviposits with the opposite end, with its butt end. It has a little ovipositor, and it puts the egg into the hole that it just made.
Oh, wow.
So it has to like slice the hole, and then it has to put the egg in there. So it has to do two different things. And when you spray this clay around, and like the whole environment is like, you know, clay, like
Yeah.
on the leaves and the twigs. So if it's usually it'll be crawling along this twig. And so as it crawls along this twig, its ovipositor, and sometimes its proboscis gets clogged up with clay.
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
So it's so fine, it just basically clogs it up. And so what I'll see sometimes, and other growers told me the same thing this year, I've been seeing it for years, is that they'll make a bunch of incisions, especially the first like week when they hatch out. You'll see a bunch of incisions on one plum, and then you'll let it go and you'll cut it open later, and there's no worm in there. Like,
Wow.
So what's going on? And that was my hypothesis. It was like it's clogging up their ovipositor.
Yeah.
And so she's trying her hardest to do her job, and
Yeah.
it's just not working. And eventually she either has to go away or give up.
Yeah.
She's like, this is not good.
It's not worth it.
Not worth it.
I'm constipated.
So, exactly. I'm doing everything I can, and it's not working, you know? And so it's not toxic to anybody. You know?
Yeah.
Like I see the bees go right through it. So
Oh,
a
great.
lot of these trees will bloom over like 6 weeks. And so like when you have the first set, you've got to get this on here. As soon as you see the little green fruit, you have to start spraying the clay. So we
Okay.
start spraying really early.
Okay.
And then it just ends up being like when you're painting, you know, it's just another layer. So every 4 to 7 days, we're putting on another layer.
So it washes off with the rain, I'm guessing, and like
It
the
does.
humidity and the atmosphere.
It sticks a little bit. Like that's a good thing about this kaolin is that it does stick better. Like it can handle probably about up to a 1/4 inch of rain with nothing, like with still some activity, you know. But after about like a 1/4 or 1/2 inch, it'll wash it pretty good. So we're actually diligently going back out there and repainting it on right after the rain.
Because if you miss a night, then the weevils are going to be on
They
your
could.
ass.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
hello.
It has really happened like that. Yeah, exactly. And
Okay.
So anyway, we're battling for our stone fruit this year. It's our best option for getting some nice fruit to you guys. Like, because I know
Okay.
everybody wants fruit. And so
Everybody
wants fruit. I mean, nobody doesn't like fruit, especially when you try our plums. They're
I was
very
just about to
unique. You know,
say,
it's like,
yes.
So these are really flavorful. And
Those naturally ripened fruit.
exactly. They ripen on the tree.
Yes.
And you know, we pick them at about like 90-something% ripeness, you
Oh
know?
my goodness.
So they're
They're
really
just
good.
juicy,
Yeah, exactly. When you bite into it, you better be near a sink, you know?
Yeah.
Or a hose. You know, you're gonna need some water.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, so cross your
Okay.
fingers, in another like 4 to 6 weeks, we will have, look at this
yeah.
tree, it's beautiful. So as I'm scouting out here, it's hard to see sometimes, and as they get bigger, like in this part of the season, it's like, this is the coolest thing ever. When
Once
you're like,
they do start being able to be seen, though, you know it's time to come out and spray it
That's
again.
right. Yeah, well, not just being seen, but like when they start ripening, ripening, that's when we'll start picking them. But they'll start showing
Okay.
some like purple color through there, you know?
Yeah.
And we let them get fully purple. But like, yeah, if it washes off, you know, and I can see like a green shine,
Yeah.
that's when we got to get back out there and spray
Got
some more.
you.
Yeah, so our farm, our theory on spraying is like we only spray the crops that we can't do without, you know, like we don't want to like preventively spray every crop. We don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
We really want to focus on growing crops that don't need spray. And then we
Yes.
learn some crops that we just can't live without. And maybe the spray is very effective. You know,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of sprays that you can do that are not effective. Anybody who's, you know, watching has done organic gardening has certainly sprayed something organic and not had it work, you know, and you're just
Yeah.
like, dude,
Yeah.
what happened there, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah, I just wasted all that time.
Yeah, because maybe it wasn't what I'm spraying, it's what the soil, like your
So many different
seeds.
things.
It's so many different
Yeah,
things.
could be the
so
stage of the
many
bug,
different-
you know. Could be the concentration you sprayed it at.
Exactly,
Could be
the
the age of your
timing
material.
you planted it, because
Yeah.
if you plant your, like you said, cucurbits or any of the squash varieties in late April, good luck.
Maybe too late in Central Florida. Yeah.
You're gonna get squash vine borers, and there's no neem or baking soda or dish detergent that's gonna save you.
It's true. There's nothing exactly, and so yeah, really with those guys, I mean, each bug has its own challenge, you know.
Yes.
And the hardest thing with I think small gardening is like when you have a patch that you can't really run away from the bugs. You know, if you think a squash vine borer, probably fly a few hundred feet at least, maybe up to 500 feet or something.
Exactly.
You know. So it's like if you can't run away from that, you know, then
Yeah.
you're always gonna have them there. So it's better to focus on like the timing, the sweet spot
Yes.
of those plantings. You know,
Yeah.
They're like, let's just get all of our stuff in Central Florida, like in January, February, and frost protect a little bit. You know,
Exactly.
get it out of the ground by
Yep.
like June, and you're good. You know, everything's
Exactly.
gone. You know,
Yeah, or better varieties,
better
like you were
varieties.
saying.
They hop up. Maybe the variety can hop up quicker and like finish quicker. You know,
Exactly.
So those are really important too.
For
But
sure.
So
The
much cool stuff.
lessons.
Yeah.
So is plums like the main fruit?
Not really. Plums are they're a gem for us. You know,
Okay.
we only have probably 3 dozen like mature plum trees. You know,
Okay.
out of like the 1,400 trees we have on the orchard.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we planted a lot of new plums this year. We planted 80 new plums this year.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were like,
So this isn't the orchard.
this is part of it. This is the orchard. Let's go. Let's
Wow.
walk. So this is the orchard we started. These plum trees, I think we started in 2017.
Okay.
So
These are pretty
yeah.
old.
Yeah, so they're like 9
almost
years
10
old or
years,
so. Yeah, I think these are 2017. The row next to it is actually 2012.
Oh,
and then-
wow. And
yeah.
those are peaches?
And those are peaches. And then we interplanted the peaches with citrus.
Oh,
and up until this
wow.
frost, the citrus was looking really good.
Okay.
And so some of the citrus trees got taken out from the frost.
Like
And so-
completely, or are they just
well,
froze back?
it's a triage. And so here you can look at what happened.
Oh, wow.
So this is one that didn't get cold protected.
Okay.
But on my notes, I keep really good notes on a spreadsheet, not just me, but the people that work in the orchard. We all keep notes on the same
Beautiful.
spreadsheet about these trees. And so at 11 p.m., in the middle of that heaviest frost, when it was, it had already gone down to probably like 28 degrees or so, I'm trying to optimize all the pressure in the orchard and making sure we've got enough water on all the good trees. Because we only have 3 wells, like 3 smaller wells. They're all 5 horsepowers, and they feed into our irrigation lines. So it's about maybe 250 to 280 gallons per minute I have to work with, or like my budget. And so I have to think about how many sprinklers I can run with that 250 gallons per minute. And if you have 1,400 trees in total, but we had probably 200 citrus trees that needed protection. And so in those, you're like, oh man, we are not getting the water out that we need, right now, or the sprinklers won't work. So I'm literally going around. I got my my windbreaker on, so I'm like the water's not penetrating the jacket and everything. And I ended up with like a shell of ice on me because I'm going around turning off all these sprinklers that are on this tree particularly. It was like it had notes for HLB, which is citrus screening disease, and so I'm not going to spend water on the tree that's sick already.
Yeah.
So I had to go around and I'm sorry, dude, I'm gonna turn you off. And I was like, turning the sprinklers, I'm sorry. I'm turning it off, and I'm like, I know what this means. I'm turning
Like
off the
life
sprinkler.
support.
But then I'm looking at the Duncan right next to it. Look at the Duncan next to it. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. So
Yeah.
the water
It
that
was
we
worth
did,
it.
was worth it.
Yeah.
So this one had to go. We're gonna replant this year, and,
Okay.
And so and we have all these new trees over here too. So you can kind of see the succession. So our goal with the stone fruit citrus succession was to kind of fill in time of like the trees, like this not plums, but peaches and nectarines. They are they're not really long-term trees. They're like 10 to 12-year-old trees, and then they
Okay.
start getting disease and stuff. And they might
Got
live
you.
a little longer. They might live 15 years. They might live 20 years. but you can't really make a business off of that.
Yeah.
So, you know, you were trying to figure out, okay, stone fruit, let's try to get a good yield from like year 3 to year 10. And if you can get like, you know, 6 or 7 good years of the peaches, maybe they're worth it, you know? And we're still finding that maybe peaches aren't our go-to. It's the plums, you know, because the plum trees, they have a whole different ability, but not to get confused with this rotation. And once we think that the peaches are like halfway through their lives, we're gonna plant citrus in between them.
Okay.
And the citrus takes about like 4 or 5 years to really mature.
Yes.
And so then by like year 10, year 12, somewhere in the peach life frame, you've got a mature citrus ready to like just take over the space.
Exactly.
Yep. And so that was the goal. Now, greening and frosts have put a little bit of a nuance on that goal, and also like knowing the varieties that will hold up, you know, like to this. Like we were doing all sorts of variety trials. This is a cool one. This is a new variety you guys should know about. I'm sure all your viewers want to know this one too, because it looks great. This is, yeah, that's what I thought. I want to say it right. This is Sugar Bell. So,
Okay.
you know about this one?
Yeah.
Yeah, such a good mandarin. Like a high mandarin orange hybrid, you know?
Yeah.
And this is one of the first ones I ever planted here. We just got these trees, I think 2 years ago. And look at this thing.
It's beautiful.
It's looking
2
awesome.
years ago?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
I think it's only been in the ground maybe like 20 months or 24 months. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I'll confirm that for your viewers.
A lot
I'll
of
look at my
time,
planting records.
even if it was here,
I know.
like the fact that it's this large and the foliage
loves this
is
spot.
taking over,
Yeah,
it does.
And so we put the clay on these guys. Not the clay, this is diatomaceous earth. It might have a little clay from the overspray here, but we just went through here with diatomaceous earth on the citrus the other day.
And what's that for?
DE is trying to get preventative on the leaf miners.
Yes.
Yeah, you know how bad they can get, you know?
Yes.
So I was scouting and I didn't see any yet, but what I really wanted this week was I wanted to green them up. They're starting to grow really well. And I was a little bit hesitant before the weather really got nice, you know, to push them vegetatively. And so now we're like, all right, let's go. It's go time.
flowering.
Yeah, you see it? We've got some fruit. We're going to have some of the first little fruits this year.
That's awesome.
If we're lucky. Yep.
I hear so many good things about
The flower just
sugar
ended,
bell.
but you see pollinated, we got the little embryo there starting.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So that's pretty fun. I mean, this is it's a new
more.
trial, you know, and these
are
yeah, there you go.
actually-
There's some nice
yeah.
ones right there. Those are green. The other ones were uncertain. The other ones you don't know if they're going to set yet because they're like yellow. But once they're green, they've set.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
as long as we can get it without drying out too bad. And so that's the, you know, if
Yeah.
it dries out too bad, they'll drop their fruit.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot of tricks with like farming citrus. And so as you can see in our orchard, no herbicides. And that's been from the very beginning. You know, one of the reasons we got this land is because we could verify it had no herbicides on
That's
it.
beautiful.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the most important things. When you're trying to build soil, you don't want to start with soil that you've already like ruined, you know? Like so if you can start with a pasture or like this was pine and pasture at the same time.
Okay.
And so it worked, you know, it was
Beautiful.
like,
So,
check it out. Yeah.
Is this the native soil?
This is over here, but right here, if you want to dig in, this is what happens with our, like, well, actually, this is just a year or two of enrichment, but it's in the same soil bed as the other ones.
How
it's
are you
probably got
enriching it?
Well, it's probably got some of the, I'm looking at the proximity to that tree. This is definitely some of the fertility of its tree next to it. It's kind of why the system works so well, because it's getting the fertility between these two trees.
For sure.
What we do every year is we put, here you can feel it, we put a donut, we call it.
Ooh.
Isn't that cool?
Soft too.
Yeah, it's nice.
Very cool.
Friable, you know, you can just get your hands in there. You can see the little roots swimming through there, you know, so you know the roots are good in here.
And it smells good.
It smells good, right? Like kind of like fresh compost, more or less, or you know, a little bit, maybe more developed than compost.
It give a little of that like fish fertilizer vibe.
Oh, that's this right here.
Yeah.
we literally got fish fertilizer in with the DE.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
No, there's fish fertilizer right in front of your head here. So
Okay.
whenever we put a spray out, we rarely spray one material. So
Okay.
it's always like an opportunity cost.
Yes.
And so my primary goal was actually the fish fertilizer and the fish fertilizer, seaweed powder, and then a sticker that we use. It's like a pine pitch adjuvant called New Film.
Yeah.
And so that one's really good for getting it to stick to the plant. And
Okay.
then I'm looking at, well, any day now I'm going to start seeing the leaf miners. So that's when I put the DE in there as well.
Got you. So
Yeah.
that's like a little
Cocktail.
concoction. Yeah.
Yeah, almost all of the sprays, whether you're conventional or organic, you learn that there's an opportunity cost of loading up the sprayer and taking the time to get it out there.
Yeah.
So you better find what's compatible and make like the best of that opportunity.
Yeah.
So if you're going to put a pest control material out, you better put some fertilizer in there too. It might have like a cost of the fertilizer, say like, you know, $10 a gallon, $15 a gallon. You put like, you know, about, I think it's about a little over a gallon per 100 gallons of, you know, of fish fertilizer versus the liquid of the 100 gallon spray tank. So we do a 300-gallon spray tank, and we put like 3.75 gallons of fish fertilizer in there. Yeah. So anyway,
this is some large scale stuff.
Well, we're trying to feed the tens of thousands of people. So.
Because I'm like, I'm gonna put a clip so everyone can see what the sprayer looks like.
Yeah, we'll go walk over
did a tour. Oh, okay, so you have it, but they can't see like it's a gun.
Yeah.
It's like a cannon.
Exactly.
And it's just
everywhere.
Like,
ours is like a little pistol, and we shoot it from the tractor seat, you know.
Okay, okay. But so you're more high.
Yeah. And sometimes if you have to get down low, you can have somebody walk on the ground with it, you know. But typically, it's, for safety, it's just the one person in the tractor seat, and they can spray almost everything from the tractor seat.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so fun.
Yeah. I mean, spraying is important, like in some of these crops, you know.
Yeah.
But like I said, most of my trees actually don't require spray. So like in the numbers of it, are probably about half of our orchard is in persimmons and pears.
Oh, okay.
They don't need, like, knock on wood, unless it's going to happen now. And that was like, just jinxed it. Like, oh, here comes the persimmon weevil. You didn't know about that. Well, I've done this already with strawberries. So, yeah, probably about 5 years ago or so, somebody's interviewing me about strawberries. I'm like, yeah, I know. I just can't figure it out. It's so easy to grow in Florida.
Wow. And then 3 years back to back.
The thrips came and took them all away.
That's great.
Made me eat my words.
5 years left.
Yeah, right. That's my strategy, right?
Oh my gosh.
The persimmon weevil. It'd be so horrible. Oh man. So check out these guys. These are this is a grapefruit. And so we got grapefruit. This is the miracle grapefruit. We're not going to have a huge yield this year, but we're going to have some, and that is way better than none.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and so this is a ruby red.
Okay.
And, I love ruby red, but sometimes they get sick. And so it's really hard to understand why. And ruby red is going to be one of those varieties for me that I just constantly observe, and I'm like, why are you healthy and you over there or so are dead? And you were planted the same year from the same nursery, the same variety, almost the same soil, definitely the same kind of cultivation and everything. And just from individual to individual, specimen to specimen, you see such a difference in the immune response. Yeah. And it's like humans too. But what's so different? Humans are eating different stuff, so it's really hard to track that.
Right.
These guys are eating the same thing. I'm feeding them the same thing.
Exactly.
So I still can't figure out why some ruby reds will look like this and beautiful. And I say beautiful, but these are all from frost damage,
Yeah. And it's not aesthetics, it's about harvest.
It's about harvest, yeah. And on a good year, this tree can yield 400, 500 pounds of ruby red grapefruit.
Wow.
It'll probably yield 100 pounds or 150 pounds this year if we're lucky. I see some nice fruit,
These are the stressors that you were talking about that cause you to be like, okay, I want to collaborate.
Yes.
It's more beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, I'm planning on a certain amount of revenue coming out of the citrus orchard, but if we get shut down that year, I better be able to use our our stream of commerce that we developed, all of our farmers markets, all of our great chefs, all the CSA members that we have, home deliveries. I don't want to tell them that we're gonna reduce our offerings or reduce our delivery dates or anything. That's not the way to grow. So really what we want to find is the good news is that Jeremy up in Baxley at Blackwater Farm is hopefully going to have a really good blueberry year. Yeah. And so I'm focused on that. I'm like, all right, let's hype up the blueberries. They're coming in the next few weeks. And then when my pears are here, they'll be amazing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, and that way, we sell more pears when they're ready, and
exactly.
Instead of just trying to only sell our pears and then trying to figure out, well, we're going to sell 20,000 pounds of pears, instead we know we can sell 20,000 pounds of pears. That's no big deal, Put them in there where you sold the 20,000 pounds of blueberries, and it works, people love them. So this area here is all kind of like the old, like what we just walked through and what we're looking at. This is the first 5 acres. This is what we originally set out. And so this soil here, where this broccoli is growing, this is our little one patch of broccoli for the spring, more or less for me and my kids and our CSA members. So that's who's getting broccoli. Yeah. And like I said, we'll never be a commercial broccoli growing farm, but we're doing alley cropping here. So really the goal was an orchard. And how do we get there? We crop vegetables in between the trees for a decade or more. Yeah. And so it used to be a lot wider where we grew crops, and it shrinks down every year. So next year we might even abandon a few more of these little crop rows, and you get more and more no-till area. So this is, I always thought that no-till was a great idea for soil management. You don't want to have oxidation, like we're seeing and stuff. But at the same time, most of these weeds around here, they won't die from no-till. There's so many things that will propagate them, and you'll have issues forever. And if if labor is one of your biggest concerns, then you can't have a bunch of weeds, taking your labor, basically. You're taking the time that you would have. You only have a certain amount of hours in the day. And that's how you have to look at whether it's your own labor or whether it's anybody else's labor. It's a resource, and you can't get it back. And so you got to make sure it's used wisely.
Right.
And with vegetable crops and stuff, it's very tricky to know if they're going to pay or not. So sometimes, like we saw the transplants, it's better just to not go forward. You know, like, all right, well, the big cost here is the harvest. The big cost is like getting it in, cleaned up and ready for market and everything.
Right.
You might only experience like 20% of the cost before that point.
Right.
So then if, it's not going to work, if you got bad quality or something, insects are all in it and everything, or, it's just not looking good, then why go forward? Like there's other stuff we got to do. There's other nice crops out here that we got to pick. Right. And that's kind of where the animals would come in too. So it's like it offers you another option. You're like, all right, well, let's put the pigs in here. They'll graze down all the broccoli.
Exactly.
No big deal,
Yeah. Making things make sense.
Making it make sense as much as we can. Years to save money to buy the first little piece of property we had up there.
Wow.
And then it was in a short sale after the whole 2008 thing. And by 2000, I think we had located it by 2010, early 2011, and then the previous owner was like really helpful of like making sure we got the place like with all the bank stuff and everything. So he helped us with that whole thing of just he could have been really bitter about it, and like, he was the one short selling it, and it was just the total opposite when we found this place, and he's like, oh, I want this to happen. He's like, I want you guys to farm here, and so it was really cool, and then we started with that little foothold, and we had 5 acres with, and here's the advice to any of your viewers who are trying to start a farm. Is don't buy a piece of land. Okay. Buy a house or a trailer that you can afford that comes with a few acres of land. Okay. Like you're not telling the bank that you want land. That's for rich people. They don't sell land unless you're going to put like 20 to 50% down. And no farmer in their right mind would have put 50% of their available resources to land. What are you going to farm with? You got to, you need operating capital to start a farm, Yeah. So what you do is you get a first-time homeowner loan. Okay. On like a single wide trailer that comes with like 5 acres. And you might never even live in that single wide trailer, but that's what you financed. You financed the trailer. Happened to come with 5 acres. Right. But the way the loans work is that they'll give first time home buyers a better loan than anything else. So get in with the trailer that you're eventually going to give to the employees or something, and that's what you end up financing. And you live in a travel trailer. That's what I did. I lived in a travel trailer for over a year when I was building my house.
Wow.
So there's lots of ways to do this, but you got to learn how to do it on a shoestring.
For sure.
Yeah, and then after the first few years, and we were doing well, then the opportunity when this piece came available, we were able to get a loan through FSA. And the only way they did it was if we went half with farm credit. And so farm credit actually did like the whole analysis to make sure we were solvent and everything, because the FSA won't do that, at least at the time. They look at a farm like this and they're like, you're not a farm. And I'm like, it was so hard working with them in the beginning. Now they're really good. Like so, but at the very beginning, 15 years ago, when we were approaching the FSA, it was like I'd give them my spreadsheets and they were like, I don't know how to read this. And I'm like, I'll come to the office, I'll explain everything. It's like it's all on there, all the documentation. You're like, no, we don't do this. And I'm like, you're breaking my heart here because I've got 3 years of records and everything, And they're like, we just can't use this information. I'm like, it's all there. Like the whole business is there in spreadsheets.
And it was because it was under a homeowners association.
No, nothing to do with the homeowners. This had to do with the FSA loans. They're based off of commodity crops and stuff. And so, like when you're trying to get FSA loans, they're usually like farm loans based off of when they were looking at your records, they want to see that you've planted this much, you've harvested this much, but we do that like thousands of times over. And so we had everything, all their criteria met. It was just our records were very complex, and they expected to see like one sheet that had everything on it, and it's impossible to show 80 crops on one line, essentially, And so they know how to read a commodity report for like cotton or for like tobacco or for corn or something. But when I say no, I grow 80 different crops, and here's all the plantings, and here's all the sales and everything, they wouldn't touch us. And
because of the liability.
They didn't understand it, and they didn't have the resources to take the time to understand it.
Okay.
That's basically where it was. We were too complex, and we were something that they hadn't done before. Yeah. So it took me a few years to figure out I got to go to Farm Credit, and Farm Credit did the analysis. They looked through all the spreadsheets and the books and everything.
Beautiful.
And when they showed they have their financial approval on it, FSA is like, we're good.
Okay,
So
got you.
if they're gonna touch it, we'll get it too.
Got you.
And so that's my other advice. If you're already an established farmer, maybe you've already gotten your home, you don't have another chance to get a first-time home buyer loan, then work with FSA, and maybe they'll say if Farm Credit or some other, agricultural banking outfit will get behind you, they'll go halvesies on it. So instead of being like really expensive with like just a Farm Credit loan, it's like half as expensive, with the FSA coming in with it as well.
Got you.
Yeah, so that was another piece of like information of how you could access lands. Is like is working with both FSA and Farm Credit at the same time. Or I wouldn't want to necessarily plug Farm Credit, but another established agricultural bank, more or less.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Someone who's gonna. The FSA doesn't want to take the risk on it.
Yeah.
But then when another bank will get behind it and say you're solvent, say you got good records, then they might be able to do it.
It's insulating.
It is.
The investment.
It's doing the hard work for them.
Yeah.
Which is the
essentially.
the financial auditing part,
Yeah. Right. Okay, cool. Wow.
Yeah, so much to learn about like how this all
So
happens.
much.
But I feel like it was like just a miracle that it all happened the way it did.
Way for you, because it'll be a different story for a different person. Like
It's
maybe
different
that
everybody.
won't. Yeah,
Yep.
but the fact that you spent 10 years coming into this space in general, and it was 5 acres, and now you
I'm
have
gonna grab this
60.
trash under here. Sorry. There it is. It's like,
Yeah.
Oh, here, look, this block was sweet potatoes last year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the pigs didn't do their job,
Wow.
did they? Yep. That's what I was talking about right there.
Yes.
And so where it is, it's on the margin right here, like where we were. Oh yeah, you saw
it's
another one there.
firm too.
I know, right?
It's like,
there you go. Oh my gosh.
oh look, it's a little one.
You might even want to take that one home. Oh no, it's rotten on the other side. That's why we left it in the soil.
Yeah.
But yeah, so where we're at right here.
Oh, and another one.
I know. It's all in this cluster because the pigs
Yeah.
obviously didn't get the graze here.
Yeah.
So this was like you saw how like
Okay.
some of our systems they will have where the fences are and stuff.
Yeah.
And sometimes just like maybe the T-post was here or something, and we didn't get all the sweet potatoes out. But if you think about how aggressive they are in this one little corner, think about how clean the rest of the field is.
Exactly.
Like, all right, well then they got
Amazing.
like 98% of them out of there.
That's exactly what came to mind. Like there's barely any weeds.
And they were definitely sweet potatoes last year.
Yeah.
So
That's amazing. Not trying to force the land to work for you, working with the land.
working with the land is a big part of it, and it's like why you see all these weeds out here. A lot of people
Yeah.
wouldn't tolerate this kind of like vegetation in their orchards,
For sure.
But for us, it's chop and drop. It constantly builds, So
Yeah.
we only have a few people that can do the mowing and stuff here, like really carefully. So we all get around to various parts. I think we got to this one about like a month ago or a little bit less, We got to that one a little bit sooner, So we keep on going around throughout the summertime, throughout the growing season, and we just, chop and drop. We chop it with the mower. We weed around the bases of the trees by hand, but ultimately all of our actions build soil. And so,
Right.
it's a lot of work, is you got to use the mower and but we get it down to under 5 minutes per tree.
Wow.
So that's our goal is, about, 3.5 minutes is really good. If you can get to like 3.5 minutes to get each tree done from mowing and hand weeding,
Wow.
you're doing really good.
Yeah.
Yep. And so, but we have to, do that 3 or 4 times per tree per season, maybe more, maybe sometimes
That's
up to
an
half a
hour
dozen.
plus.
Yep,
And
exactly.
multiple people.
Yep.
Yeah,
And
so-
so, that's all part
Cost
of the
and effect.
cost and
Like,
effect. Yeah, exactly. So you got to have some reasons to do it, And I guess ultimately I'm pretty addicted to growing plums.
It all comes back to the plums.
It all comes back to the plums. So I love the plums. Let's check out these guys here. We got some I think we've got Calamandan setting. This is pretty cool. This is one of my favorite trees in the orchard here. Oh yeah. So some little baby calamandans on there.
I don't see anything.
There's one right there. Just one. Yeah.
Okay.
They're tiny.
So did this one also get affected by the frost?
Oh, for sure. But this one, it does really well with this sprinkler placement. You see where that sprinkler is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and this
okay.
sprinkler just kept it. You can see how much more lush it is than some of the other citrus trees. But this
Very.
one is also about 10 years old or so. And so
Okay.
it's a
And
pretty
look at
well
the
established.
difference
I know.
between this and the sugar bell. The sugar bell is coming for this in like 2 years.
I know, right?
That's
Yep.
crazy.
And look at this is a calamandan planted the same year from the same orchard.
Wow.
Like, what's the difference between this tree and that tree? You guys were from
Yeah.
the same orchard, you
and
know?
this is why you said that.
You can't depend on
rely
it.
on fruit.
Yep. It's
Yeah.
got to be your crown jewel, and you got to be happy when it's there, and but
Yeah.
you can't like anticipate paying all the paychecks with, you know, just
Yeah.
fruit alone. You got to have the vegetables that
tips.
churn, you know.
Yes, exactly, those annuals. And
Here, come check out these guys.
a lot of people I've noticed in Florida have focused a lot more on perennials.
Yeah, and maybe it's a smarter strategy for tropicals.
Yeah.
But I would also, if I was
This
down
is
south. You know what
parsley?
this- yeah.
Beautiful.
Check this out. Isn't this awesome?
Yeah.
So-
I'm in
so-
the soil.
Yeah, come on, get down here. So this is Italian parsley,
Okay.
and as it warms up, we wouldn't be able to grow this. Like if we leave the soil open right now with no hay on it, it gets way too warm. And
Yeah.
so feel how cool it is under there, though.
And it's super deep.
Feel that?
And it's so
Isn't that-
soft.
I know, isn't that awesome?
Wow.
So
So
thi-
this soil hasn't been tilled?
No, it got tilled. And so
Okay.
what we did is we set the plants in. You can see the roots swimming through there. They love this stuff.
Yeah.
And so during the cool season, we were able to set the beds up. We put the plants in, and
Okay.
soil starts warming up in a beneficial way. And then it's got a bunch of weeds that grow on it.
Yeah.
And so we weed it, we cultivate it with the tractor like on the sides, and then we
Okay.
hand weed in between the plants here. So it took a significant amount of hand weeding, and the hand weeding team did a really good job on this block. I was really stoked because
Yeah.
earlier this season we were having some challenges of not getting all the weeds out.
Okay.
And they would come back with a vengeance, and then the guys
And that's the worst.
It's the worst, yeah, because you already experienced the cost of weeding, you know, and then you have to go do it again.
Mm.
And sometimes it's worse the second time, you can't even get them done, you know. So you actually
Yeah.
abandon the crop. So you took the cost of weeding and you didn't get the crop. Worst case
Yeah.
scenario, you know.
Yeah.
So doing the job right, like having good quality at all levels is super important, and then
Mm-hmm.
that's part of like what I have to try to do every week is like making sure whether it's the quality of the weeding, the quality of the harvest, the quality of like what you get at the market, you know, all those
Yeah.
things have their own challenges, you know.
Yeah.
But for this one, the team did an amazing job, and you can see how nice the soil looks after all
Beautiful.
that.
And it
then
feels so
doesn't it
good.
feel cool? And it feels
Yeah.
it's like 65 degrees. You
Yeah,
know? And
which
so-
is the perfect temperature
for parsley.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what it needs, you know.
Oh, wow.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Like it's probably
Cold.
83, 85 degrees out here right
Exactly.
now. You know, and that's
And that's
like
from this hay.
the hay is like a insulator.
Yeah.
Yeah, not a blanket, but an insulator.
For
you
sure.
know?
And it feels
Yeah.
like a blanket. I
It
want to
does.
get under the hay.
Oh, definitely. Oh, until you itch with it. Yeah. you don't want to do that. No. Yeah,
But
it'll make you
this
itch.
So was this like this is another cost?
Yeah,
I'm
that's
guessing.
another cost. Instead of doing plastic. So, you know, you've been to
Okay.
farms before that do plastic mulch, you know?
That's why they do the plastic?
Yeah, it's
Got
one of the
you.
reasons. You know, we'd also do this for weed control. So you
For
know,
sure.
so for right now, for parsley, it's both weed control and not only keeping it cool, like I said, but also keeping the crop clean.
Yeah.
So parsley has a tendency of sticking with sand in all the leaves and stuff, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so it'll actually, when the sand blows, it'll actually abrade the parsley leaves, and they'll make it look really ugly. You know, kind of cut them up if you have like sandstorms out here, you know.
Yes.
So this keeps the sandstorms down, you know, when you get really windy
Wow.
conditions. So all in all, it keeps the
Beautiful.
quality of the parsley crop. But we buy the hay from a farmer that doesn't do any kind of chemicals, and so it's like a
Okay.
chemical-free hay. Really
Yeah.
important to start with, and we have to buy the
Yeah.
whole field because he doesn't have another outlet for it. So it's that's the kind of commitment you have to do to like get
Yeah.
this like actually organic. Is like, all right, well, you know, even just the supply chain of your hay, you have to think about. If I'm using just commodity hay, they could have used like some kind of herbicide like Grazon or something in there, and then I put it out here on the parsley, and the next day it's dying, and you're like, what? And
Yeah.
then not only that, you have contaminated soil for like years on end, you know.
Exactly.
So another one of those worst case scenarios. You got to be really careful about the inputs that you bring into your farm.
For sure.
So the hay is really
Wow.
important to us. We spend a lot of resources putting it down,
Mm-hmm.
but this parsley will produce at least until the end of the month, maybe into mid-May, depending on how the weather holds out.
Yeah, simply from the
From the hay.
insulation.
Yeah. Yep, yep.
Beautiful.
Yep, and it holds that moisture in too. Right now we're in a drought, you know, so this
Yeah.
helps this block go like 5 or 6 days between watering.
Wow.
Yeah.
Which is amazing.
That's
for
a
Florida.
huge thing. Yeah. So in that, yeah.
Wow.
So that hay really does. I mean, it might have to get irrigated every 2 to 3 days without the hay.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Luckily, our soil holds a lot of water, and that's one of the reasons we're here too. Is because
Got you.
yeah, because the water holding capacity of our soil is one of the highest I've ever seen in Florida. And that's actually productive. Like you can get like higher holding, but it doesn't
I've
actually
noticed.
produce. You know.
Because even when we were walking in between, that's why I asked if that was like the native soil because
Oh, yeah.
it's so squishy.
Yeah, well,
Like,
we
it's
filled that
not
one
all
up too. We'll go look at some
compacted.
more stuff that's open so you can see. So it's kind of mechanical.
Picture right here.
Oh yeah,
Okay,
for sure.
let's
And you didn't have a
What
chance.
is that?
This-
Oh, he be in my house.
Yeah, he's a stink bug. And
That's what that is?
Yep. And so oh yeah, he's stinking on me right now.
Ew.
Yeah, yeah. But what I'm gonna show you is the reason he was so slow, and you could probably zoom in right there. There's a
His
little
buddy
white
just hit
dot
me in
right
the
there.
ear.
See, there's actually might be 2 of them. but the little tiny white dot right there. And I believe that is a egg for one of the, oh, and there might be even another one right there. Yeah, there's a few different white dots that are not symmetrical on him that have been placed there, I believe. Oh, look, he's trying to juice everywhere. You're gross, dude. Yeah, but here's the thing. I don't want to kill him because this is not just a stink bug anymore. Watch, he's so slow. He's incapacitated, and that's why I was able to catch him.
What
Go
did
do
that
your
to
job.
him?
Go do your job.
Is he like
He's
natural neem oil?
Oh no, those were eggs.
For
So
what?
he's they are parasitoid wasps and parasitoid flies that are out
Okay.
here. And so one of my tricks is that I bring in all the beneficials. It's not a trick. It's just a strategy for regenerative agriculture. Is like all around here. These are not weeds. These are beneficial habitat. And so the insects. Let's go see. Let me grab this water bottle. I'll show you. The insects that tagged him are tiny, and we might not ever be able to witness those out here. But look at this. These guys. This is what they're eating.
Okay.
So they forage over here. They forage on these tiny little flowers right here, this betony. They forage on this little aster, whatever this aster is. Any kind of little white flowers, they love. Especially
Okay.
cilantro, especially parsley when it flowers.
Okay.
Yeah, so all those little white flowers, they feed the beneficial insects. So,
Okay.
And these insects are like gnats. They're so tiny.
Okay.
You don't. I say wasps, and you're like, oh, I don't like wasps. But guess what? Almost all wasps are good to us out here, you know?
Wow.
And these wasps are really small. And,
Okay.
And so what they do is they come down and they lay an egg on the back of a stink bug. And it was in a place where it couldn't get to, on the back of its carapace.
Yes.
And so it keeps growing. And then it slows them down. The DNA of the fly or the wasp starts taking over the stink bug.
Wow.
And it slows them down. And so almost any time that you can
Wow.
catch a stink bug like that, they've already been tagged.
Got
The
you.
ones that are really fast, they haven't
That
been tagged
is.
yet. So when I saw him just
Wow.
hanging out there and like looking at us, I'm like, oh, and so I just grabbed him and then we saw it. And there's the
Yeah.
very first stages of the eggs, maybe 1 or 2 days old eggs on
Wow.
there. And we have some students that come out from UF and other schools and they do counts on stink bugs and things like that. One day they found 78% of our stink bugs had a little egg already on it.
Beautiful.
It's pretty cool, huh?
Yes.
So that's just from leaving the weeds around the crop
Yes.
areas. And it's nice
Okay.
all those weevils, or the
Oh, yes, that we're
the
talking
plum
about.
curculio, yep. So
Oh.
this is our workhorse.
Wow.
You can see it's covered with the clay, you know.
Yeah.
But this is if
Holy moly.
you're a vegetable farmer over a few acres, I would highly recommend getting something like this. It only sprays about like 1.5 acres at one time for the rate that we use it. You know, so
Okay.
we're literally using like 300 gallons out there for 1.5 acres.
Holy crap.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
So you fill this up 4
Yeah.
times.
The 300 acre, the 300 is all the way to the top. So we'll throughout a week we might spray 3 or 4 different sprays with this.
Wow.
Yeah, to get all the different orchard crops and all the different
Yes.
things that need it, you know?
Wow. I
Yeah.
would think that one tank would be enough for everything.
Nope, that's only if you're using powerful pesticides, you know?
Got
Nope, when you're using
you.
clay and when you're using diatomaceous earth, it's really a lot of volume
Okay.
for what you got to cover, you know?
That puts things in a perspective. So like you would say like 50-50 the ratios of clay to water?
No, we use in this tank for your listener or for your viewers to know, we use about 25 pounds of clay per 100 gallons of water. So if we're going to
Wow.
fill up the
So
whole tank,
a
it'll be
fourth.
75.
Got you.
75 pounds of clay for 300 gallons of water.
That is
And then
crazy.
diatomaceous earth, I think, is 80 cups of diatomaceous earth for 300 gallons.
Okay.
Yep. So you can do the
Yeah.
ratio of what it would be. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, 300 gallons, 80 cups of.
That's some
DE.
beautiful information that you just gave. I know someone is like,
Yeah.
oh,
I know. Like, let me try that.
Thank you, John.
Let's see if that works for my pests, you know.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll help. And
and so someone is on
So
the
this
tractor
goes on the tractor.
with the gun.
yeah. So basically, this hooks up to the tractor. This goes to the PTO on the back of the tractor.
Okay.
So PTO is power takeoff. It's what drives it. So the tractor drives the motor here. This is a pump actually, and the pump circulates all the liquid. And
Okay.
this one's specifically made so it's got like a like an agitator in the middle here. So,
Yes.
so it's constantly agitating that mix, and the clay or the DE will stay in solution.
And it gets it all the way to the bottom. Like you can spray all of
yeah.
it with it being agitated.
Yep. Yep.
This is
good.
huge.
Good to the last drop, basically.
Wow.
Yep. And then back here is actually the boom, and so one of our booms got broken. It went boom. So we have it being got it being fixed. But if you look up there, that's the other wing. So that goes down flat, and that that's and you can look here too. These are some nozzles Maybe not. Looks like the nozzle's out of there. So it looks like this is our primary boom that we're using right here.
Yeah,
and so that
no one's actually holding it and spraying like this.
they will with this.
Oh, okay.
So this is what we use for the orchard. So this is our pistol.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So this is what we hold from the tractor seat, and you can spray the trees with.
Oh, okay.
But when we're spraying the chard or when we're spraying the potatoes, we use these guys.
Right.
So this will drop down horizontally.
Yeah.
It's got like a hinge right there, you know?
Yeah.
And then it'll douse those leaves. That's the goal, is to like basically get all the leaves covered with that spray.
That is amazing.
So yeah, for you know, we have a vegetable farm and an orchard. You got to have some special equipment, you know, like,
Yeah.
and so that was I think year 2 or 3 that we ended up buying that thing, and you know, we have to put a lot of work into keeping it up and everything. Like this week we had to fix one of the wings. It's got 2 wings on it, so you only saw one wing because one wing had to go to a special welder to get welded.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was year 5 that you made that investment.
I think year 3 maybe on this
Year
one.
3,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah.
So John, what do you feel like allowed you to scale so fast? Is it just the farmers markets in the beginning, or would you say it was something else that helped you grow to the point of expansion?
I think it was a little everything, but
I know you had a lot of education behind what you were doing too.
maybe it was seeing some other. Definitely, it was my working education out in
Yes.
California, and when I was doing a lot of audits and seeing successful operations. You know, awesome right now.
Oh, it's a pomegranate flower.
Yep. You know about the pomegranate?
Yeah.
This
Oh,
is-
it's a couple.
Yeah, this is a special tree. This is a pomegranate that will work in Florida.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah.
If you ever want to take cuttings of it, you're welcome to.
Ooh, they root by cuttings?
Mm-hmm.
I've done a air layer on my pomegranate at home.
That's a good way to do it, I think.
Yeah. It was like the easiest air layer I've ever done. It was so ready to
Nice.
grow.
What time of the year was that?
Um,
Air layering a lot of times is influenced by the time of the year, you know?
wow.
Yeah.
I know it was after like summer, like fall.
Okay, cool. Some nice plums on these trees.
These are beautiful trees.
This is some of my favorite trees. And what happened was, in this block, we grew vegetables for like 5 years.
Okay.
So we worked up the soil, like we got it really nice and rich from compost and everything.
Yeah.
And then we decided, after watching how good the plums did, like really nearby, we're like, this is where we want to plant plums. So we
Yeah.
planted plums
What?
here, and they're just like going nuts.
It's all in my face.
Sorry. I got a lot of fans here for you.
Yeah. I'm like, oh.
So what we do is we plant our cucurbits kind of like lug nuts on a tire. Like when you're like over here, over there,
Yeah.
over there, over there, you know. so then
Yeah.
that way, as they kind of like tire out, you know, you're as far away from your new crop as possible.
Yeah. Are these native to being here, or did you plant this as a cover crop?
We planted this as a cover crop.
And what is this, wheat?
Yes, actually, there's a wheat and there's a rye mixed in here.
Okay.
And then you also have a bunch of lamb's quarters, which is not good on
this
the
looks
margin here.
beautiful.
Yeah, like
It's like dancing.
Yeah, isn't that cool? I like
Yeah.
the waving grain right now.
So whimsical.
So we got a few animal groups that are up there, and they're moving down this block here. They're
Okay.
consuming the cover crop. And so these are weeds, you know, where we see all the lamb's quarters growing. And look at this. So the lamb's quarters should have been coming up in here really strong, but the rye and the wheat are doing what's called allelopathy.
Okay.
And so Trey will get a good shot. There are no amaranths growing in here, or very few. Like there's 1 or 2 just around here, you know. But these grains, these small grains, there's a little bit of oats mixed in there too, I see. So we probably did a 3-part mix on this one. But the plant itself will keep the weed competition down. It keeps the weeds from germinating around it.
Yes.
And right now, our animals are eating this grain. So instead of us having to thresh out this grain and do something with it, we just let the chickens eat it. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
So they can reach all the way up here, or do you have to like mow it down?
Good question. Some chickens will knock it down, but
Okay.
we usually end up mowing some of it down, or like knocking it down with like a weed whacker
Okay.
or a machete.
Got
Sometimes
you.
these stalks, especially, a machete's better.
Then a
Yeah.
weed whacker?
Yeah, because these stalks can bind up on a weed whacker. Yeah. They're so wiry, but it's got some nice grain in there right now. If I had a combine, I could probably pick like a quarter bushel of grain out of here. No, it's a very small amount. It's like enough to make a few loaves of bread.
Yeah.
It would only take me about 24 hours.
Exactly.
If I did it by hand.
Oh my God, that's the thing with growing grains.
I
It's
know.
so labor intensive.
It has to be on a scale that makes sense. And
Right.
So, yeah, but what I'm doing with grain is just trying to learn how to grow it. And so you can see this grain. It's high quality. I would eat.
Yeah, it
I would
looks
eat that.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's like
spelt berries.
yeah, wheat and rye. I think this is Florida 401.
Wow. Oh, it's soft. I'm gonna bite it.
Of course.
Am I gonna die?
You're gonna love it. It's sweet. I like those little wheat berries.
It is sweet.
Isn't it good?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of potential here to make sustainable grain in Florida.
Try it now.
For sure.
course.
Yeah,
That's
you do
what
have to
you
try it
Yeah,
because it's
you want those.
juicy. Why is it juicy?
Because it's full of good stuff. That's where life comes from. I mean, you think about all of our ancestors ate some kind of grain, and this is very similar. I mean, like this is an heirloom grain that grows really well in North Florida.
And what is it?
Florida 401 rye. I think that's the
Okay.
bulk of what we have in here. We probably mixed a little wheat in there too. We have some triticale wheat, and we have some. And triticale is not officially a wheat; it's a wheat relative.
Okay.
And then I saw when we were walking in there's a few oats as well. But what we do is we mix 2 or 3 different species. So then, depending on the weather conditions, 1 or 2 of them are going to work really well.
Yeah.
And you might not get all of them to work well, you know.
Right.
But the goal is we need to cover the soil. We need to keep it productive while we're not using it.
Exactly.
And this is on old sweet potatoes too, so it's
Wow.
it's actually inhibiting the growth of those old sweet potatoes.
Wow.
And then there's a little boar pig up there, and he's going through and trying to eat the sweet potatoes.
And that also, well, not the sweet potatoes, but the pigs eating the grain.
Yep.
It cuts down on your feet.
A little bit, yeah, exactly. And especially with the pigs, but the chickens, we really try to get the chickens to eat the grain. But
Okay.
yeah, some breeds will do it. Oh, here's some potatoes.
Potatoes?
Yeah, we got some
Okay.
nice potatoes. I'm trying to think which one's going to be the better block to look at. I think this one might be better. This one's going to be pretty close to ready. So this is not the best soil, but these potatoes are looking pretty good. And right now, let's see where
Okay,
they're
you
at.
held them up.
See, they're ready.
Yes!
Like I was coming out here to do a little scouting today, so this
Oh,
is good.
wow.
But look at this is beautiful. Oh, really nice. Look at that.
We love digging.
This is so cool. Look, that was like the perfect plant to choose. Even though it was ugly on top, I knew that one was going to be a good. Oh my God, look at that.
Yeah.
This potato plant's got like probably 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds of potatoes on it.
That's beautiful.
So cool. So yeah, this is called Red Pontiac.
Okay.
And Red Pontiac is it's an heirloom. It's been grown in North Florida for like way over 100 years.
Oh,
and
wow.
so one of the reasons this works so good is that it can grow without fungicides. It can grow, there's no fungicides we ever put on here. There's a little bit of blight starting here. This is a little bit of the probably late blight or early blight, one of them. Your listeners can tell us. your viewers can tell us which one this is. But it's some kind of fungus that'll eventually take down the plant.
With the
Yeah.
black stuff?
Yep, the blue black spots
And the
on there.
little white, is the white the
The
blight
white's one of
too?
our sprays.
Okay.
So the white is a diatomaceous earth
Okay.
on this crop. And so we have to be really diligent on these crops with the potato beetle these days. So 100 and something years ago, they didn't have the Colorado potato beetle in Florida.
Okay.
It got here in the last 100 years.
Wow.
And it likes, Colorado potato beetle. It's native to Colorado, but it eats any potatoes in the United States.
Wow.
Yeah. And
Little
so-
hungry beetle.
Oh, it's so hungry. And if you don't use the right concentrations of your spinosad or your pyrethrum, like your pyganic, or Aza, which is Aza Direct, that's a neem oil extract.
Okay.
Those are the three things that your viewers always want to know. You're like, what is he using out here?
Yes.
It's either every week we rotate.
Okay.
So you can't do it the same materials week to week. But every week we put diatomaceous earth in there because they don't adapt to this.
Okay.
But any kind of like, bacteria extract, any kind of like active ingredient we call, like a yeast extract, plant extract, they can get almost immune to those.
Yes.
If you
Develop
they
tolerance.
develop a tolerance. So what we do is every week they get that, the fish fertilizer, that goes in every week too. Because
Okay.
you want to keep them growing as fast as possible.
And is this topical or in
Yeah,
the
this is all
soil?
sprayed.
Wow.
Yeah. Now during the pre-plant, when we're making up our beds, we put in heat-treated chicken manure into the
Okay.
soil when we're making up our beds.
And
so
that's just the only amendment is the chicken manure?
Exactly. For
Wow.
that's our pre-plant. And so
Yeah.
it's just one material we put out.
That's
And
beautiful.
yeah, it's easy, and chicken manure really is the best like pre-plant for gardens. And if you're just doing your own garden, garden, you can use raw manure. But for like a certified organic farm, we got to use a heat-treated chicken manure, so it's kiln dried. Sorry, the bugs love you here.
It's me.
It's all good. And so, but what it does is it allows us to grow potatoes that are ready in like 70 days. It allows us to grow greens that are ready in like 30 days without having any kind of pathogens out there. So no E. coli, no salmonella, and you still get all the good effects of the chicken manure, breaking down the soil. It feeds the microbes. It contributes to long-term fertility. So versus like soluble fertilizer, if you're a conventional farmer, almost all the fertilizer you put out for these potatoes is going to be used up by the potatoes or leached off.
And by soluble, you mean
like
water,
salt-based.
liquid. Oh,
so
okay.
Salt-based fertilizers, like ammonium nitrate, ammonium phosphate, ammonium sulfate, all these ammoniums that you've heard about, they're all like salt-based fertilizers. And so they usually have to put together two materials, and they get like a precipitate salt, and then they put that into either a prill or like some kind of form that they can spread out there, and so what happens is when it rains, when they irrigate, that stuff comes out real quick, and their plants green up, and you'll see those potatoes out in Hastings that are like twice the size of these plants, and they might be producing twice the yield on some years, but what we found, sometimes ours will yield just as much as theirs on a bad year. So like if they're not having a strong year and we're having a decent year, our organic potatoes can yield kind of close to what they're yielding.
Right, because the ammonias and all those are inorganic.
Those are they're not organic. Yeah, those are conventional. Yeah, we can't use any kind of ammonia-based fertilizers here.
Okay.
So our nitrogen has to come from a manure, a cover crop, compost, fish emulsion. That's all of our nitrogen sources.
Okay.
And that's what makes it so hard organic here in Florida, is that nitrogen is our most deficient nutrient out of everything.
Yeah. That sun is just tearing it up.
Well, and also like if you see our soil, it is almost all phosphorus. So this is a phosphatic sand. And this is what it looks like when it's dry and powdery,
Yeah.
But it still has some aggregate to it. Even this block, it has some aggregate structure, which is good. And we're on the dry down phase of these potatoes. So really what we don't want to do is we don't want to have this soil really moist right now, because we want to minimize the amount of fungal issues.
Yeah.
And you can see the plants are not dry.
They're beautiful and buoyant.
Aren't they awesome? Yeah. And so what they're doing, they have roots way down here in the bottom of the beds, and they're pulling up all the moisture, all the nutrients they can right now, and they're going in down to that freak out end stage. They're just like, I know it's coming. So they take all the energy from these stalks, and it's just pushing down into these potatoes. And as long as we have this kind of weather for like the next week or two, we can dig anytime we want, and we can get in here and we can get these potatoes out. In fact, this week looks like a great time to start digging some of these potatoes. We got a lot of them to start
before it gets crazy.
Before it gets too wet, before it gets too hot,
Yeah,
and we got this little interval that we can get them in there.
It looked like you started them at the right time.
And that's a good call, because normally we would have started like way back in January. We had to wait until early February to start these because of that frost, because of that crazy weather.
These aren't even that old. These
no,
are like
they're
30, 60.
Isn't that crazy? Do the math. Yeah, I can get you the planting date, but I think it was February 4th that we planted this block.
Wow, and you have this beautiful, lush harvest.
When you hit it just right. But if I plant it, March 4th,
month earlier, the frost
or January 4th, it won't work.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so you have to kind of know when, and I couldn't have told you last year plant on February 4th this year.
No,
you have to.
I was starting peppers, like I didn't even think we were going to get a frost at all.
Right?
It was so hot, until it got cold and it was freezing.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but that's amazing.
So anyway, that's our potato crop, and we got a lot of potatoes planted this year.
Yeah.
So let's go see some other cool stuff. Over here, we got some young carrots. They're kind of fun.
I want to ask you,
Sure.
I know you said that you guys decided in 2017 to pivot and start collaborating with other people, but how difficult was it to make that decision, egotistically, or just did you feel like you were compromising your values? Because I know you started it out with that imprint that you
that we had to
wanted
do that,
be,
right?
Yeah.
I think my whole life has been a series of ego-breaking events. So, as a farmer,
yes,
as just anything,
yes.
You get humbled, in so many different ways. You know? So, there's been multiple learning experiences I had, and so that was just another one of them. I don't remember it being exceptionally painful, other than the fact that I think that not making action on it would have been a lot more painful. I just saw the alternative. The alternative would have been laying off like a dozen good people.
Yeah.
That would have been horrible, and we did not do that. And so we were able to pivot, use the income from our partner growers' sales to keep the team going here for the whole time,
Yeah.
And I know we shrunk down hours probably to 30 or 35 hours a week or something,
Right, but still, they had something that was a solid foundation
Yeah, that's the important part.
stay
You know,
in. Yeah.
The most important part about all this, is, you know, we value every part of the system. The people have to be the most important in my decision making. It's like that's ultimately as a leader here, you know, I have to always be thinking about what's the best for the team, what's the best for, you know, keeping this place going indefinitely, keeping everybody, you know, well employed, keeping their needs met, you know, like constantly growing. You know, how do you constantly grow if you can't grow in acreage? You know, and I don't think growing in acreage is the right idea because, you know, like I said, you know, we don't have enough angels in this world to grow all this stuff yet, you know, so let's hope that people watch. Yes.
I love that.
We got young viewers, you know, that are into this. You know, I hope there's like a, you know, 12-year-old, 15-year-old out there that's looking at this right now and they're saying, you know what, this sounds really cool. Let's, you know, I can do this.
Look how happy they are.
Yeah, this is great. I mean, like, this is how you help people and you help yourself at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah, nothing's better than good food.
Exactly.
That brings people together.
So check these out.
These are huge.
These look amazing. Oh my gosh.
This is insane.
This was supposed to be a baby carrot crop. I was looking at this scouting the other day. So a week ago, they were half the size.
So are these ready? Wow.
These are going home with you. Or you can eat them right now if you want. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm gonna take a bite.
Yeah, you don't know who you're talking to.
Exactly. Just wipe them off on your shirt and go. That's what I do.
Wow. And they're so cold. So this is even without the hay.
Yeah, this is just where we're at in the season right now. You know, like
beautiful.
Our soil temperature is still really good right now.
So you're gonna do your what's up, Doc?
Yeah. Gotta get on camera.
Okay.
There you go.
The man behind the scenes.
Excellent.
Finally, I get my moment.
He's always wanted to do this.
What's up, Doc?
I love it. You're a bunny by nature, huh?
Small things.
I love it.
A bunny by nature.
You'd be happy out here.
Yeah, exactly.
I got it for you, Trey.
This is a beautiful carrot crop.
We used to have one that attached to the camera, but after the permaculture conversion,
Yeah.
it disappeared.
We're having fun. Oh my God, it's so buoyant.
That's so good.
It like bit me back.
Like candy.
The flavor.
This is one of our favorite crops that we grow is carrots.
Wow.
Yep. And so you can just taste like how sweet it is. It's like fruity. It's like we don't have fruit right now. We got carrots.
And it's so different than the grocery store. I cannot even stress like how different this is. It's not dry. It's so juicy. It's disintegrating. I'm not having to try hard at all to eat this.
There's no core.
No core. It's no core. That little white part in the middle, it's literally orange all the way through.
Yep, it's juicy all the way through.
Yeah.
Very
and
cool.
it's just like snap.
Yep.
Oh my God. And the flavor. Let's not even start on the flavor. Because it has like the herbs of the tops. Like you can taste that in there. Because it had time to fully ripen. And it's not coming from West Wubba Freak. You know? Because that does play a part in it too.
Yeah, how fresh it is. It literally is, it's living until it's not. You know, it's
and
like
then it's living inside of me. So like all that beta carotene, all those real properties that you get from eating vegetables that you don't get when you eat them in a grocery store because they're not actually nutrient dense anymore, it's here.
This is it. This is the real deal.
I'm gonna fast all day and just eat your food.
You got it. All
be
good, Trey.
superhuman.
It's all compost, brother.
Wow. Even the sand, I'm like, yeah, that has nutrients in it.
Get a little grit in there.
A little immune system boost.
It's
Delicious.
Thank you,
This
guys.
is the best carrot I've ever had.
Thank you.
I don't even like carrots.
Nice.
To be honest.
I just got a carrot convert here. You like frogs on carrots.
Yes, exactly.
I take that as a very good compliment. And I hear that at the market all the time. You know, I was the same way. So I didn't like celery until I grew it.
Yes.
I thought celery tasted like bad water.
It does.
It does taste like bad water if it comes from a conventional farm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's what you're tasting. You're tasting the contamination. You're tasting all the nasty stuff about that system that you're getting in that celery.
Because they suck it up. That's what carrots do. They suck up all of
this
the
whole
bad
family
things.
does.
Yeah.
Yeah, those parsleys, the carrots, the fennel, the celery.
Yeah.
All this
it's
family.
An excreter.
It takes it all up, you know? And so it's the opposite is true in this system, is that we have all good stuff going into this. You know, it's got compost, it's got manure, it's got cover crops.
Yes.
So like the season before this crop, we had sun hemp growing here. And then we turned the sun hemp in and we planted carrots. And so here they are, you know, and it's like, what better to, fuel your soil than like these, a huge amount of biomass of the sun hemp.
Exactly.
Yep.
Because don't they have like a super deep taproot that also
pretty good, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
collects nutrients from.
This is kind of like clay soil too, so it's really important in this. And you can see the different texture here. It's actually kind of hard to get our hands in here, but I'll get some of this down here.
And that's because of the lack of straw?
Well, no, more of the clay that are in this block. There gets to be a little bit more clay, and as we go down the hill, there'll be even more clay.
Okay.
And so we have various degrees of like texture and drainage classes at our at our farm here.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons I really liked farming here. Like I started farming here. Isn't that cool?
Mm-hmm. But it's still like
still friable. You can put it together, you know? Yep, it's a little bit warmer than the other block, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, it's probably about like 69, 70 degrees.
Right.
You know, not bad.
Not at all.
And so definitely good for carrots right now, but you know, if I left them for another month, they'd probably be too hot.
Yeah.
So we got to get these out of here and get them to the market.
I love the knowledge and the connection that you have with your land.
Thanks. I've been building it for many years, and that's what I love is like, I was the first tractor driver that plowed most of these fields, and
wow.
so and now I've gotten multiple people trained off on that job, and they're doing a great job. But in that process of like plowing the fields and like planting them the first time, or like I've weeded a lot of these fields, I've harvested in almost all of them, like all sorts of good experiences over the last 15 years here.
Yeah.
And you make all these observations of like, oh, that's wet. You can see the clay right there. I know this is a clay block, it's like, and I know that, like when we were going to plant this next block up here, we laid out the bottom that was too clay. We just know that we don't plant this area, we plant a cover crop on it.
Yeah.
And then the rest of the block grows really well.
Right.
so it's back to that, like, do I want to put resources into a little block that would be better in pasture for my animals,
Right.
or, struggle with vegetables and they never really make their weight,
Yeah.
So
did you have, because I'm just taken aback by how beautiful this is, and I feel
Thank
like you can easily walk through here and romanticize having something like this. But is this
I gotta explain what goes into it, right?
Yeah, you have to. But
the
it's
blood,
also
the tears,
like,
the sweat.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
which you can't even see right now because
we're
we're
just out here on a
la,
Sunday,
la, yeah.
We're just hanging out in the field
Saturday,
here,
like you said, is a completely different experience, which I would
Exactly.
love to have saw
It's good out
all
here.
of the people like manning this ship, because
That's your next trip.
Yeah,
is to
it
meet
has
the team.
to.
You got to
has
meet the
to be.
team that really does this.
Yeah.
I'm just your tour guide. I don't do I don't do a lot of this hard work anymore. I'm doing the administration to make sure that it actually all gets done.
What are these?
I'll give you a guess. What do you think?
I was looking at them. Are they pears?
You got it. You nailed
Wow.
it. So pears are a big crop for us.
Really?
Yes, we grow a lot of pears.
And they act like you can't grow pears in Florida.
Maybe in Central Florida, that's right.
Okay.
But in North Florida, they are really well adapted here.
Wow.
And we have varieties that were bred by the University of Florida that are like hybrids between English pears or European pears and Asian pears.
Wow.
And so this one, I believe, is called Baldwin. Hey, Trey, I got a ladybug over here if you want to get a good picture of it. Oh, yeah. Oh, he's coming over towards you. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
right
the
there.
workers. So does
right
that mean
there?
you have aphids?
Exactly. She's just patrolling, looking for...
Yeah, here's another one.
You got another one? That's
Yeah,
pretty cool. We could find
under the
multiple ladybugs on the same tree.
If we find another one, that's Trey's sign of, that's his good omen.
Nice.
But wow, this thing is loaded.
Isn't it? This tree is probably about 8 years old now, and it's really kind of getting into its prime.
Wow.
And so Baldwin variety. And I meant to show you down in the orchard over there, you were asking about our fertility. And so here's another block. It's a little bit different mix.
It's black though.
Yeah, isn't this awesome? This is, and you can see how far I can dig down here. So like typically in like a, in just regular turf, you can't do this. You can't just keep digging. And I'll get down to the native soil down there somewhere. But you can kind of see the strata. There it is. There's the native soil. But you can see the roots of the tree swimming through there. And we've got layers and layers. Every year we put another layer, we call it a donut, of a mix of compost and chicken manure. And so this year, because these trees are getting so mature, I actually adjust the ratio. So these only got about maybe 1/3 to 1/4 chicken manure, and the rest of it was compost, like a finished compost. And I'll give props to Sunshine Organics, Jack's Organics Compost up there in Jacksonville.
Beautiful.
Talk to Mike. He's awesome. He really makes a great product. He's in it for the right reasons, it seems like. And I mean, he's been really transparent with us in his process, and he's got a high quality process that really makes a good product at the end. There's no weeds in it, and there's no contamination in it. So that's the most important thing to us, is that he can really mitigate the contamination.
Right.
I don't know what that is. Oh, it's a little egg of some sort.
Ew.
I know, right? Who knows what that was? But pretty cool. And this is what makes our trees grow, is just like humus. That's what we're trying to build, you know? And so we go to the chop and drop, you know, every year. We're coming around here with the mower, coming around with the machete, and then doing the hand weeding, like right around the base here.
Right.
And it works. I mean, I'd much rather this system. We know the costs. We know what it takes. And we can do this indefinitely.
For sure.
You know, and people appreciate these parrots when they come out.
Oh, yeah.
You know, this is like the star of the show for like 3 months during the summertime.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm
Yeah, it's
coming
awesome.
back for your parrots.
Totally, yeah.
Like, seriously, I'm a fruit
cool,
girl,
huh?
but
Let's go
we're
to this one.
vegan, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
I love.
You got to live off this
Yeah,
stuff. you
yeah,
know? So-
exactly. This is delicacies.
do you know this tree?
Pomegranate?
Nope. Kind of
Okay,
close.
hold
It
on.
kind of looks a little bit like it.
Is this?
You can't quite see the
One
flowers.
more. Is it
It's a pea.
Patanga tuba?
Nope. Nope.
Patomba?
Nope. Persimmon.
Persimmon.
Persimmon. Start with a P. You got.
Oh yeah.
You're close. Yep.
The flowers.
Yep. These are the little buds, and they're. We'll probably find a tree that's opened up. This one's going to open up in about 3 days or so.
Okay.
These are the unopened buds,
Persimmon.
but you can already see the shape of them. Each one of them, if they get pollinated, will
I
turn
should
into
have
a
known
persimmon.
from the leaf shape.
Oh, it's hard, you know.
Yeah.
At this stage of the game,
Sure.
you know. These are little Seminole pumpkins that we planted.
Awesome.
A little squash bug.
This is another one that I was talking about
He's
in
fast.
the varieties, because like right now, if you had some other variety of pumpkin that you planted that were like this small,
Yep.
I started my my crop of, what is it called, winter squash,
Yeah.
at the beginning of March. I transplanted everything out at the beginning of
That's
March.
perfect in
because
Orlando.
yeah, and it's also because of the powdery mildew.
The powdery mildew, yeah. Yeah, that makes
They
sense.
get crazy powdery mildew,
So
and
bad.
it's like once the sun starts creeping into it, it just
gets worse.
nuked. Yeah, it
Yeah.
just gets bad. But the Seminole pumpkins, they can grow through all of that.
That's
So,
why we plant early, and then
Yeah.
we grow it all the way through, like until it depends on the rain that summer. But we can usually
Okay.
get pumpkins to go all the way to about like September.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly.
Yeah, and by then they kind of tire out, and they get
Yeah.
like, and you can replant. And I have had some crops that were successful in the fall, but you could also risk just getting totally shut out by the frost.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So I usually just aim for this one interval. We'll plant like probably 3 or 4 acres of Seminole pumpkins over the next like
Wow.
month, and we'll plant all the way up until about the end of May, and
Wow.
then and then it'll just keep on rocking.
Yeah,
And,
like succession
yeah,
of
succession.
them.
All
So-
of our plantings are in successions. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, you know that's important. You know,
Yeah.
I don't want 50 acres of one thing coming in at one time. You know.
Exactly, because who's going to harvest all 15,000 of
Exactly.
those Seminole pumpkins?
No, you're totally right, and you have to balance it out.
I feel like we haven't even made a dent in the land.
Right? There's a lot of stuff going on.
And we're just like old friends catching up.
I feel like I know you a little bit after watching all your videos.
that's
I know
cool.
all of them, but I've watched probably a good half dozen in the last few weeks. And
Yeah,
so
good.
I like that, like seeing your style and how you're trying to get the right questions out of people and like
I
get them to articulate
appreciate
it.
that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
A lot of people have been like, especially growers. I've been enjoying this because of the community, like how you were saying, like how you're the model that you have. Like I talked to Mike, and that's the model that he's leaning towards
Yeah.
now. And I just think it brings so much information and awareness and camaraderie to a place that could be so spread out and individualistic or just focal. Because a lot of times, like when we're farming, we're focused on our community. We're not focused on the general public.
Yep.
I think what you have done is so cutting edge and before the time of collaboration. Like to be doing that in 2017, I feel like collaborating just started becoming a thing with like content creation.
Oh, I can see
where
that,
people
yeah.
start to understand. And this just could be my thought, because I know like companies have been
cut
doing
down
this,
here.
like Kellogg's and
Oh, yeah.
all of these other people. Like that's their model, is take over small businesses, and
Yeah,
you
when they're
know,
taking over.
they're taking over.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, that's the difference.
That is.
We want the small businesses to be successful and,
Right.
and do what they do well, and sell it to us when they have too much of a good thing.
Yeah.
And then we make it all work. You know, as it goes to the table, it goes to the restaurants and stuff.
Exactly.
So here's a little view of
The corn.
the corn. Yes.
Wow.
So, succession-wise, this whole area was grazed by pigs for a long time. It was in little blocks. They only get like each block every 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
But over about like 3 months, they grazed this whole area, and then we planted it in sweet corn. And so
Wow.
it gets the full rotation. And then those pigs over there, they're doing the same thing. They're coming down this cover crop. They were already over where that cover crop's all knocked down. They ate all that up
Okay.
last week. and now they're on this block, and they're going to eat all this cover crop up.
I want to see that. So is that
Sure.
Napier grass on the border?
Which one?
This wheat. Is
This
this
wheat?
this grass that is like looks like it's been macheted?
Oh yes, no, this is sugarcane.
Wow.
Yep, we grow a lot of sugarcane here.
Okay.
Yep, and so we actually burned it down to kind of facilitate the weeding and everything, because it gets there's a lot. It's good for sugarcane to do a little bit of a burn for the fungal rust that'll get in there. So when you drop all the cane, you have a lot of leaves left, and so if you let the leaves sit in there, at least old timers say that you can basically get fungus from year to year, you know. And so if you burn it, watch yourself there, Trey. You got an electric fence behind you. You're all good. It's not too expensive. Let me make sure.
It just be a little razzle dazzle.
Yeah, it's on.
I already shocked myself.
Oh, did you? Okay. It's only 6,000 volts. Don't worry.
A little energizer, a little pick me up.
Over here,
So pigs for us, like I never set out to be a livestock producer.
Okay.
So I was vegetarian for years because I could not find meat that was raised with an accord of my values, you know, which I do not want an animal suffering for my nutrition, you know.
Yes.
And then not to mention all the environmental stuff that goes along with like, you know, CAFOs and stuff. But really animal welfare was my main reason for being a vegetarian.
Beautiful.
And then I figured out over being a farmer for many years that I had a really large manure addiction. Like I had to satisfy this manure addiction because it takes a lot of manure to grow all these crops.
Okay.
And so if I did not have a source for that manure, I have to purchase all of it.
Right.
And so really I know that's not sustainable. You know, like if the trucks don't run tomorrow, you know, if we don't have diesel, then you don't got food. You don't have food. Yeah. And so that's what I've been working towards the whole time is how can we make a sustainable system that even if the trucks stop tomorrow, you know, even if we don't have diesel, we're still going to generate food for thousands of people.
For sure.
Like that's the goal. We're still going to have electricity. We got solar panels.
Yeah.
We got hot wire fence. You know, we can do this if we have to without diesel. And so the pigs are the only way I could figure that out. And it's really because we grow a lot of sweet potatoes. So the first few years we figured out that sweet potatoes love this soil and we do really well with sweet potatoes. So we plant about 6 or 7 acres of sweet potatoes every year.
Wow.
So that's a lot of sweet
every
potatoes.
Year?
Yep.
Wow.
And they dance around different blocks, you know.
Okay.
They rotate around, but the most important thing with sweet potatoes is getting it all cleared out after the end of the season.
Yes.
And so any small, any gardener knows this.
Yes.
Is that the sweet potato vines come back with a vengeance.
God.
You know, and even worse the second year sometimes.
Yes.
And it's cute in a garden. You're like, great, I'm gonna have a second crop of sweet potatoes.
No.
Because then you dig those sweet potatoes up and they're full of weevil.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You ever seen that before?
Holes and stuff.
Yeah, all the worms in them.
Yes, I don't even dig them up. I be so aggravated.
Yeah, you know what I mean.
Because usually they're like small too. Like they don't even get that big like
because they weren't spaced out right.
Got you.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a lot of nuances to growing sweet potatoes, but one of the main ones I call it like field sanitation. You've got to get the old sweet potatoes out of the field.
Yeah.
And so if you're a conventional grower, you'd use like Roundup or something horrible, you know?
Yeah.
Like you'd use like atrazine or you'd use like paraquat or something, like, you know, these materials that kill people, you know?
Yes.
Poison the environment, and you know, but that's how it has been done, you know. I say conventionally. It's not traditionally, because that's not tradition. It's just convention, because you know people relied on that, you know, because that's what the university told them to do and everything.
Right.
So I understand. You know, it all starts with bad information, but you know, the bad information being that those materials are safe. That's not correct. Like there's no safety data that shows that any of those materials I just said is safe. It's only safe because humans have been tested on for the last 30 years and they've been lobbied to accept the results.
Exactly.
That's it. There's no safety data in that. The lobbying has basically encouraged the pseudo government to accept the false data that's provided by the chemical organizations. The chemical organizations will do research at land-grant universities and they pay $1 bajillion into the land-grant universities and like foundations and stuff. And if they find anything wrong with the materials, no more foundation money. No more bajillions of dollars for the health department or for the you know, College of Agriculture department, you know. So there's all these conflict of interest in chemical safety, and we don't have it in this country, and that's why half of us are going to have to deal with cancer because it all goes in. The singularity of our suffering is corruption.
Yes.
Everybody on earth is suffering because of corruption.
Yes.
And so it all comes down to this and why we have to do this. Because I don't want to use Roundup on my sweet potatoes. I don't want to use paraquat out there. And then if you're going to do it as an organic grower, you'd have to figure out a way to like destroy the soil, or not to destroy the soil, to disturb the soil for a certain amount of time. and that reduces the quality of it. So
Right.
like, you know, for sweet potatoes, if you're gonna till your bed, you'd have to till it for like 3 or 4 months to kill all those sweet potatoes.
Wow.
And so think about how many times that is that you're just
disturbing
the soil.
mycelium, the ecosystem,
Exactly.
the
You want to
natural-
minimize that, you know?
Yeah.
That's like maximizing it, and it
Yeah.
basically is gonna deplete your resources.
For sure.
So what the pigs would allow us to do is we do that disturbance, but at the same time as the one-time disturbance, they're eating like 90-something% of the sweet potatoes.
Right.
So these guys right here will just plow up like all through the field, eat all the pieces,
Beautiful.
and they're happy for it. They're like, that's
Yeah.
what they do, you know? So
Yeah.
if you put them out in the woods, they're the most destructive thing ever. If you can keep them in 6,000 volts, they're like your little nuclear reactor, you know?
Yeah,
It's just like, how do you
yeah.
say it? Like their little energy reactor. They just make energy off of what's in the fence, you know?
So this is the remnants of
Yeah,
them?
this is what they did.
This is what the straw looks like after they come through?
Yep, they just
Wow.
they already basically ate everything they wanted off of that one, and they stopped eating, and so we put them onto this, and they're eating all that green like stalk in there.
Got you. And
Yep.
then they just leave the fibrous material that you can use as a mulch.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
This just goes into the soil, and we till it over at least once or twice to get it like set up for the next beds.
Beautiful.
Or it might go into a cover crop. I think this one's going to go into pumpkins actually.
Okay.
So, yeah. So we'll basically get this ground tilled up. I'll show you a block over here that we had just.
And by tilled up, you're mixing that hay into the soil.
Exactly. It'll look like this really soon.
Can I see the pigs? Like,
Oh yeah, we can walk down there. Actually, let's do this. Try to figure out the best way. Let me show you the soil real quick, and then we'll go up to those pigs. We got a bunch of pigs we can look at, so don't worry. There's more pigs. But to complete that
These are
thought,
onions?
yeah, this was onions, and we just tilled up this soil with the disc, and then you can see how we're getting more clayey down here. So it's a little bit more. Now that's some of the old weeds that were in there, but lots of nice like blocks of soil.
Yeah.
And so this soil has been tilled once with or plowed once with the disc plow, and we'll
Okay.
need about like 2 more weeks, and we can get the next crop in here in about 2 weeks.
Wow,
So the
so-
total time that it was open was maybe 1 month. You know?
And you only plowed it once.
Yeah, we plowed it once here to get the onions underground.
Yeah, and you can
then
see
you can see they're all breaking up. Yeah,
And they're live though.
this was yesterday.
If
I
you
think
were
we plowed
to
it.
plow that 3 times, this would be completely brown.
Totally.
Like all of the nutrients would be depleted from the roots to the
Yeah.
point where it's not even adding anything
Look
to
at
the
that.
soil.
Yeah, that's all the roots from our onion
Yeah.
crop. They were like, all right. And yesterday we harvested dry onions, basically, like all the
Yeah.
onions that were going into the greenhouse to get dried down.
Mm-hmm.
And so the next thing we do, we turn over the block with the plow.
Yeah.
This will like basically like compost everything
I
in
was
place.
just about to say that's
Yep.
compost.
Yep. And
That's
then,
beautiful.
And then in about like 2 weeks, we'll be able to bring our bed shaper in here.
Okay.
And either make up a new beds for a new crop, or this block might go into a cover crop.
So you're not gonna put any of the
The pre-plant.
pre-plant in there?
If we were, so watch out there, Trey. You got some mud behind you. The pre-plant will go on if we're gonna do vegetables. So if we say we wanted to decide, I'm trying to think what would be good in this block. Okra. If we want
Okay.
to plant okra here, we put the pre-plant down.
Okay.
But if we're gonna put sun hemp here, no pre-plant.
Okay.
Yeah, it just makes the pre-plant's really expensive.
Yeah.
So you only use it for the crops that you need it for.
Right.
Yeah.
So the sun hemp, would it be like a possibility that if you did put vegetables in and you just cover cropped with the sun hemp the
Would it be enough?
season before? Yeah.
Maybe. I don't think it works that well. I don't like
Okay.
it's got like I look at it as like a nitrogen bank, and you just keep on adding to it. And some things are like more rich than others. Some things
Yeah.
have more like value than others.
Right.
And so like the chicken manure has more nitrogen value than the cover crops, because I think the cover crops take a lot of nitrogen to dissolve. Like so it's like more. They're like probably a net gain of a small amount of nitrogen, but not a huge amount. Come check this out.
Beautiful. I have to film this.
Of course,
Oh my
yeah.
God.
This is a nice little block right here.
Yes, it's
Take
so
my
whimsy.
hood off for a minute. This
Like,
is
look at John and his lettuce.
the romaine patch.
Yes.
So you were wondering why I plant light colored lettuces late and I had all those red ones there.
Yeah.
Look at how good they're doing,
Oh
know?
my
And this is the hotter
goodness.
part of the season for us. We're in the
Yeah.
last few weeks of lettuce. And so luckily a lot of these lettuces as we go up here, they're sized up, and we sold, I think 1,500 lettuces already this week we got to pick.
Wow.
Yeah. So, this is ready to go right here. This is a nice
Yes.
size lettuce. And so yeah,
And
our
it's
spring,
huge.
isn't that beautiful? You're welcome to try some too.
Oh yeah.
They're really tasty.
Okay, let's see.
Right.
And I see what you're saying with the bit of the sand from the splashback. That could be just from the rain.
Yeah, I might want to give that one another wipe,
But if you
or the
have
irrigation,
hay-
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Here, give it a little wipe there, Trey. Just you don't have
I have
too
to let you know, from the first bite, it had flavor, and it's tender, what got me was the sand. That's what stopped. I was like, oh, it's crunchy. but
Sorry.
the flavor is amazing.
I should have brought a bucket of water out so we could wash it.
No, it's amazing, right? This is so cool. Like the stem.
The stem is so good.
I'm amazed.
Thank you.
It gives like a spinach almost, like because it's so, it has body. Romaine literally is just like nothing in the grocery store. It's like water.
In the grocery store, it's like water. Like bad water, you know? Yep.
This has a taste to it.
Sweet, crunchy.
And again, like the stem is holding its own. It's not just like
limped over.
Yeah. It'd be mostly stem. This stem is so skinny.
Yeah.
That's another thing.
It's so tender, you know? So that's one thing I love about the romaine. It's just, you got to learn the crops that do good
Delicious.
for you. You know?
Yeah.
This is a Sunland variety. So that's Sunland and Dove is what we grow here. And
Sunland.
Yep, that's the name of the variety.
Wow.
Yep. So, you know, this soil here, we've been farming since 2016. Almost 10 years now. We've been improving this ground.
You can tell.
Thank you. And this is one of my favorite like areas of the farm. So it doesn't have any of that clay that we had in the other area. So you can grow just about anything in this.
If only you could feel this. It's like just the softest.
Almost like a sponge or something,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
It feels like the sand that my kids use in their what is that called? In their the sand table?
Sand.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
Because it just, whatever shape you want it. If I want to spell a K with this in my hand, I could literally put a K.
It's got just enough ribbon, and at the same time, for us as farmers, it holds water and it drains at the same time. So this block
like
right here
airy.
only needs to get irrigated with these lettuces every 4 days.
Wow.
So think about that. Open lettuce right now in this
4
season.
days?
Every 4 days we irrigate here.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's with no mulch.
That's with no mulch. If it was
That's
mulch, we'd probably go 6 or
crazy.
7 days. Yep.
Wow.
So
And you don't have to do the mulch because you've been farming in it for so long.
Well,
it has the things.
the mulch is really expensive.
Yeah.
And we only use it in the areas that we have to have it.
Exactly.
So like the romaine, we know if we plant this variety at this time of year, it works. We know with the parsley, if we plant parsley, regardless of the varieties, it'll get too hot in the next few weeks and it just won't work.
Okay.
And parsley is a cut and come again crop. This is a one-time cut. So like we're just aiming for that sweet spot on the romaine, get it in, get it out. And it's one of those things too, like if it got really hot this week ahead of time, I could have cut these baby size and still sold them.
Right.
So it still had a crop there. Versus the parsley, if we don't get a good cut out of it, we're not going to get our money back for like all the resources that went into developing the crop. Like the transplants and all that stuff, you know?
Right.
So a little different economics in herbs versus greens. So we kind of split our products up into different product types.
Yeah.
And this is like a cut once green. And there's, you know, multiple kinds of those. And then parsley, if you're going to, it's really an herb, you know, but it's more similar to like chard or kale and its costing than it is, you know, to romaine. But then the added thing of like chard and kale can do fairly good on open ground, whereas parsley just can't. So it has to have that mulch to make it work.
Got you.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw the rows of your chart.
Oh yeah, we'll go walk over there too on the way back.
Wasn't
We got some beautiful. The chard, it actually can go a little bit longer into the spring than some other greens. For us up here, you know.
Less susceptible to bolting.
Yeah,
Got
exactly.
you.
Let's check out these dandelions while we're walking.
Okay,
here.
so that's what that is.
Yep.
Dandelion greens.
So we plant the same family.
Look at how
in these
your
blocks.
foot is just like,
Isn't that
it's
cool?
just imprinted.
Now
this is
tillage,
soil.
you know. So just so your viewers know, this is,
but it's squishy.
Yeah, but this is done with I would call it well planned tillage. Like you know, so what we're doing here is we move the soil around. The soil is like a fluid medium for us. You know, it doesn't stay the same. And so what we do is we'll make up the beds. We'll plant the transplants. Doesn't that feel good?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're grounding right now.
Yeah. It's so nice.
Totally. And so so what we do with the tractor is we move the soil every week. We will take different implements, different tools, and we push the soil up. We pull the soil apart. We throw the soil on top of these little weeds. So the whole idea is like this. Like we're just burying those weeds each time. And I'm just doing it really simply. But we do that mechanically. And so some of these crops never have to get hand weeded because we are so effective with the tractor. If it all works right, you know, we won't have to hand weed.
Yeah.
Soil in the right state of both moisture and air at the same time.
Yes.
So the roots have to breathe just as much as they need water.
Got
And
you.
so in our soil, if we were to plant everything on the flat without raised beds, without ridges, then a lot of our crops would drown. Like, and maybe in the drought it'd be better, but you never know when the drought's going to come to an end. And like, it starts raining and you've got, tens of thousands of dollars of crops in the ground. You've got to have them up on ridges so that they don't drown. And so that's one of the hardest things about, knowing if it's going to be too dry or if it's going to be too wet or too many weeds, So,
and also knowing your landscape, because I see you're on a slope.
Yes, it's very much so. So from the very bottom to the very top, it's about 40-foot elevation drop. Yeah, so for Florida, that's significant, And that was one of the things.
That's a mountain.
it really drew me to this area, It's like, I love this hill, It's like, and we're on the southeast aspect, so, it warms up early in the wintertime. It's got good air movement up here. The whole day that we've been out has been just nice and breezy,
Yes.
Even though it's 80-something degrees, it's like totally comfortable.
For sure.
And so it just makes the spring last a lot longer for us. And that's ultimately why I moved up here to farm is, versus like trying to farm in like Orange County. I knew that the market was there.
Yeah.
But like in terms of, what'd you find? Some ants?
It's a stink bug on my foot.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
I had a scorpion on me this morning.
Scorpion?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of omen that is. I was doing my stretches and I felt a bug on my foot, and it was a scorpion that long on the top of my foot, my bare foot, and I just brushed him off. And I got a little cup and I put him outside. I was like, "You didn't hit me, so I'm not going to hit you." Let's go look at. We'll go walk up through these crops here, and then maybe trying to think what else we got on the way out there. We want to see the chart, I think.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. Got volunteer sunflowers. So
wow.
Sometimes
all
you
of
just.
these are volunteer?
Yep.
Holy
yeah, you can see what I planted originally. You see the potatoes under there?
Okay.
Yeah. So the team was like, "Do you want us to weed out the sunflowers?" And I was like,
"No.
I think we need them for Mother's Day." And
that'd be beautiful.
So actually, if everything goes right, we'll have some. But don't worry, they don't bite.
It was just a little.
Yeah, the little rattle of its wings and stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. So we grew sunflowers here last year. The seeds dropped, and we use an open pollinated variety that we've been saving for like a decade now.
Yes.
This is called Autumn Beauty.
Yes, those are the red ones.
They are actually a population of different colors. It's really cool. We got red ones, we got orange ones, we got yellow ones.
Wow.
We got all different, varieties between them, So you look out here and there's just like, it's so cool. I mean, it doesn't look like we planted one variety. It looks like we planted a bunch of different varieties.
Yes.
And that's what I love about it. I mean, sunflowers are really just to make people happy. So there's really not much other use of them,
Yeah.
I mean, there's some ecological use. They bring in the bees. They keep things happy, But,
but they're cut once pretty much if they're not a branching sunflower.
Yeah, these ones will actually branch.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, the open pollinated ones will branch pretty well.
Okay.
So we might actually start selling these in the next week or two. I see the heads already getting up there. So, but by Mother's Day, this whole field will be full of like the second cut, So that'd be cool. We'll be some buckets of these. Don't worry, just a little wasp.
Me and Wasp.
Here's how I see insects. Let me share this with you. Insects, I think they perceive time way differently than we do.
Okay.
Their time is the distance between you and your neurons, essentially. If you think about us, and how we perceive time, it's how long that signal takes to get from our toe up to our brain and us to realize that, we're stepping on something, Yeah. And so that's how we perceive time. Insects, the smaller they are, probably the more different they perceive time, and because their bodies are so much smaller.
Exactly.
And so my theory is like, if you got like a stinging insect on you, say like a wasp,
Yes.
and it's on your skin, and you're gonna slap it like this, say that's the worst thing ever. If you have a biting insect, it's not a mosquito, but like a stinging insect, like a bee or a wasp or a scorpion, that's an arthropod. But any of the things that are gonna hit you, don't think about hurting them.
Yeah.
Don't think about killing them. And your swat is not a swat. Your swat is a brush. That's how I got the scorpion off of me this morning.
Yeah.
When I was doing my qigong, like stretching, and I looked down and there's a scorpion on my foot, and I don't say, I'm gonna hit you, because in reality, the scorpion is literally seeing my hand in slow motion.
Oh,
He's like, oh, he's gonna hit me. Oh, he's gonna hit me. I think I'm gonna hit him, and boom, and he hits you way before your hand gets to him.
Yes.
He's moving so much faster than you could ever move, And so he actually probably knows you're gonna kill him the moment that your adrenaline flushes and you got the fear, like, pheromones going out through your skin,
Yes.
like chemically, he's like,
Yes.
oh crap, he's gonna hit me,
Yes.
and I can't get off of him before he hits me, so I'm
Right.
gonna hit him, and
Yeah.
so my theory has always been, it's got me to this point in life, is get off me, and please get off me, and that was the first thing I did with the scorpion, is I just like brushed him off my foot, and I brushed him like 5 feet across the floor, and I had to go find him. I'm like, where'd he go? It's like, I can't leave him,
Yeah, yeah.
And so I brushed him so far, I had to go find him. But that's my theory, is like, don't ever put out there that you're gonna hurt that, scorpion or
Yes.
wasp or whatever. Just like, get off me. Please get off me.
I think that even works with fear too, though, because they say
Totally.
that
Fear.
attracts bees to you even more, because
Yeah.
the heat from your body, like you said, their neurons process that differently.
They see it as a target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even with wasps, like, soon as my chemical excretes it, he's like, oh, she's scared of me, now I'm scared of her. Now
Yeah.
I need to defend myself.
There you go.
So
They got the message.
Yeah.
So that's the scare. So try that in like reprogramming our.
Gonna.
Just like
I love wasps.
just off. Yeah. Well, here, let me give you something to appreciate wasps. So one day I was out here and I was doing irrigation duty, and
Okay.
we have a 2-inch water cannon that we do a lot of irrigation with, and it was clogged up, and the guys had let me know, like, I can't figure it out, it's not working. So I went out there and I started poking this piece of mud that was in the sprinkler. I was like, did somebody just let this like fall over in the mud and it like hardened up? So I took a little like metal wire and I was poking the mud out.
Okay.
And then all this weird stuff started falling out.
Ew.
It was all these stages of caterpillars that were
Oh,
like, yeah, and I
wow.
finally got to a freshie that was probably like a day or two old, but the other ones were almost like dried up. And like they
Yeah.
were like all different stages of stored caterpillars. There must have been like 16 of them in there.
Wow.
And then eventually what it was is it was a little piece of plastic that had stopped up the water flow, and then the mud dauber had made a use of it and she had packed a nest, basically like a tomb for her eggs. And so the eggs is like that same idea where they use an insect to hatch out on.
Yes.
One of those caterpillars probably had the eggs in it, and they hatch out and they eat the rest of the caterpillars in that little, like, that tomb, and then they
Yes.
crawl out. They go through the mud, the dried up mud, and they make more mud daubers. But just one mud dauber was able to put about 16 worms into one nest. So I'm thinking like, wow, if I've got, thousands or millions of mud daubers out here, they're eating a lot of worms.
Yes.
And those are bad worms. All those worms in that nest were like green, what do we call them? Cabbage loopers. Like the cabbage
the ones that put
caterpillars.
all the holes in your foliage.
Exactly. The ones that
Yeah.
eat the cabbage, the kale, all that
Yes,
stuff. Yeah,
yes.
and those are bad.
Yes.
And the good news now is that we really don't have a lot of problems with those cabbage loopers. Like,
Beautiful.
if they do get out of control, we can spray BT and some other kinds of biologicals, but there'll be many months that we don't actually have to spray the cabbage.
Yeah.
I go out there and scout, and I'm like, dude, that's so clean. How
Yeah.
is this, and then you see a wasp flying away, and I'm like, thank you. You're doing your job.
Yeah.
You're basically lifting these like little caterpillars off of the plants and putting them in your nest.
Got
It's
you.
so cool. So all the wasps will eat caterpillars like that, or they'll use them for their own young to hatch out in. So pretty cool. So
Yeah.
now you'll never look at a paper wasp the same way. You're like,
Yeah.
all right, I might be able to tolerate your nest up there now that I know you're
Yes.
eating all the caterpillars in my garden.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's one thing, I'm not a killer.
Check out these guys.
Oh, we're here.
We're here at the chard patch.
And there's so many colors.
Exactly. This is the true rainbow chard here. I love rainbow chard.
Me too.
And we've got diatomaceous earth on it, so that's what the white spray
Okay.
is. In this moment, we get a lot more insect damage on the chard because we're going into its last part of the season.
Yeah.
So it's about to get kind of out of its element, and we want to push it another few weeks into the spring. So we're really aiming for these leaves right here,
Yeah.
And then when we come through, we'll actually strip off some of these old leaves, and we'll just put them in the furrows like you see down there, So we clean up the plant as we go.
Gosh.
So it really looks like behind Trey there, that's where they got to with the harvest. And then this week we'll kind of turn and we'll go up these rows. So you see how some of those beds are a little bit more harvested and a little bit smaller?
Yes.
So we kind of have a pattern that we follow as we go through, and we go through, we want to hit every plant once before we double back and get to the where we started.
This
Yeah.
is so much char. I can
that
definitely
awesome?
see how you feed thousands.
Yeah. All
It's
good.
amazing.
And this is just one chart. Okay, good. All good.
But yeah, I think that is so important because you will start to do something like this commercially and completely lose your money because you
If you
don't have
right
the
tools.
equipment. Yeah.
yeah. You got to build up to it. Like we started at, are you rolling, Trey?
I'm rolling, yeah.
Cool. We started at 1.5 acres.
Okay.
And we filled that out the first year. The second year we filled out 5 acres.
Beautiful.
The third year we got into the area across the street. We started working on the next 15 acres.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't think we filled that out until maybe year 4 or 5.
Wow.
You know?
But that's
There's
scaling
a lot of growth.
quick.
Exactly, scaling quick. And then by
Wow.
2016, so 5th year, we made that purchase of this whole land out here. And then it took us
Wow.
about another 3 or 4 years to actually develop all the pieces of it, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when you first started, how did you get your audience, like your market?
Farmers markets.
Okay.
Yeah, that was a big part of what we did. We developed the CSA. We had like CSA meetings and stuff, you know, like to drive the interest of the CSA.
Yeah.
And then slowly but surely we started getting some interest from the restaurants, you know. But that
Okay.
wasn't at the beginning, you know. The
Yeah.
beginning, I think it was really farmers markets. Like if
Wow.
you really want to make an impact, go out there and every Saturday and serve the customers, you know.
And you still do that.
We still do that.
Like with all of the stuff that you do, I think it's crazy that I see you every Saturday. I would not think that you were doing all of this and still able to make it.
I have some angels that help me now, you know. And
Yeah, but still, like you can definitely like not go. You just choose to.
Well, it's important to me, you know.
Yeah.
And it's important that we do a good job at the market. It's important that we keep a good customers, you know, happy. That we keep our longtime customers happy. Really, that's
Yeah.
what it's all about. You know, we have customers at that market we've been serving for well over a decade.
Wow.
And one of my favorite things about all this is like when somebody comes up to me and tells me, you know, my daughter, she had childhood cancer, and I fed her your vegetables throughout that entire thing, and she's 100% better now.
Wow.
And I'm like, you know, I mean, that's really cool. You know, or where you see people that when they met you,
Wow.
they were sick, and now years later they're healthy. You know, and they stay healthy. You know, and they just keep eating healthy. And it's like I hope we rarely never lose a customer, but we're always gaining customers.
Yeah.
You know, like every week we're out there. You know, Trey got to see it yesterday. We had some first-time customers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I live for. I'm like, oh, welcome. You know, like
Yeah.
we've been working on this for 15 years. We've been trying
Yeah.
to get this up and running and to this level. And here we are. We can serve you every week with this. And this is
Yeah.
a viable option for you to be healthy.
Exactly.
You got to do the hard work. You know, like the first part is coming out to the market or getting your order. You know. And,
Yes.
you know, the next part's actually eating it, you know.
Yes.
And it's like that's the important part, really.
For
Is like
sure.
you got to get it in your belly after that, you know.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
So just want to empower people and show them that it's not that hard. You know?
Yeah,
And-
especially with the wide variety of crops that you offer. Any vegetable that you might have a affinity to, you carry. So it's like already a lot easier than going to like some of these like local markets where they're growing things that they've chosen, and it's like Malabar spinach and moringa leaves.
We'll
like,
have that too, don't
you
worry.
You do
Yeah.
have that,
Yeah,
but
don't
you
worry.
also have beets.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's like, okay,
we got the kale, we got the lettuce.
yes,
you know?
I can mix and mingle, but it's also all grown in a beautiful, sustainable way. So it takes away that part of it too, like with all the sprays. But
Totally.
speaking of sprays, we were talking
Oh
about.
yeah, we were just talking about that when the battery went out.
Yeah. So can you let us know, like, or just retell?
Yeah, let's
the
look at what we
audience?
have right here. So on the chard, we've got a diatomaceous earth spray. So it's similar to some of those tree sprays I was talking about earlier, you know, in the orchard.
Mm-hmm.
But the diatomaceous earth, we'll just call it DE because it's way easier to say.
Yeah.
But DE, it provides kind of like a layer of protection against really small bugs. And so as the worms, typically we're talking about caterpillars right now that will hatch out. And when they're in their very earliest stage, the instars, or first or second instar, they're crawling through this little bit of diatomaceous earth, and it looks like shards of glass to them. And the way that it works is their lungs are actually called, I think they're called sphericals, and they're just underneath their exoskeleton. So their layer of chitin that makes up their skin or whatever, you know, we call it exoskeleton, but it's really soft at that stage. And these little shards of glass cut that right open. And they basically,
so their lungs at the bottom of their body.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
So their lungs get cut right open, and they
Wow.
just dry out. They just asphyxiate. You know, they
Wow.
can't do their job. They can't actually receive oxygen in.
So it's a fatal.
A fatal thing. Yep. And that's when that's after the egg stage. So
Okay.
the moth will come and lay its egg on the leaf. And then within a few days, it hatches out into a tiny little worm. And if
Okay.
everything works right with this DE, we don't even see the worm.
Got you.
Because it just didn't
it's like
ever,
an abortion.
Yeah, a little bit after. Yeah,
Okay.
a little bit after. It's like it would be worse. I don't even compare it to that, you know. No, these are insects, a lot different than humans.
Okay.
But basically we're preventing them from ever getting a foothold, ever getting to that next stage, you know.
Right.
And so
proliferation.
Yep. And so in order to do this, we need a pretty professional grade sprayer, and we knew that from really early on. We tried a few attempts at like lower volume sprayers, more economical sprayers when we started, and they just wouldn't work. The materials we use are minerals, like the DE, and then also we use kale and clay. So it's literally just white clay that we're putting into the spray tank, and
easy to clog.
Easy clog, yep. And they won't stay in solution if you don't keep moving it around.
Yeah.
So you really
start clumping up. Fat packs on the leaves, I'm guessing.
It won't even get there. Those fat packs will be inside the nozzle. Yeah, exactly. It won't be spraying anything, you know. It'll be all clogged up.
Now you're wasting money.
Yeah, you're wasting money. You're not getting the efficacy. You're saying, John, that DE doesn't work, you know. And I'm saying you don't have it on your leaves like that. Look, you know, I mean, it should be on the bottom of your leaves. It should be on the top of your leaves. You know, it needs to be covering your leaves to make it work. So you need a high pressure sprayer. You need a high pressure sprayer that can spray minerals. And so that's what we ended up, I think year 2 or 3 or something, we broke down. We're like, all right, this is one of the most important purchases of the farm here, is getting a 300-gallon high pressure sprayer.
Okay.
And so, and we can walk up there and we'll check out the actual sprayer. But the idea is that it keeps the solution moving, so it keeps on churning and keeps on mixing the whole time. It never stops mixing until you're done with the sprayer. So you know, when you turn the tractor off, basically.
Yeah.
And then also the nozzles and the filters you have to have set up so it can handle that clay. You have to have some filters and you have to have some nozzles, but there's a very fine tolerance of what actually works with the clay and keeps a good spray going. So you're gonna have to play with that. You're gonna have to kind of nerd out on your sprayer, you know.
Yeah.
And just because you're an organic farmer doesn't mean that you get to go without a sprayer. You know, it's like, especially if you want to grow crops that Americans want to eat.
Exactly.
That's what it comes down to. Like you're saying,
no one wants moringa seeds.
Well, not nobody, but you know, maybe me and you. But like, it's hard to convince the Publix customer to go eat moringa. You know, and so and we're here for that. You know, we're here and that's what I find with our system is that, you know, we grow the chard. And we'll buy the lettuce in the summertime, you know. We'll buy the kale in from North Carolina in the summertime when we have our moringa in flush, you know. And we'll have our Malabar spinach, you know. Yeah. And you come to the market, we have like a 3-for deal. They'll get a lettuce, they'll get a kale, and they'll get a moringa. Because they want to try something new. Exactly. They already know that they like the lettuce and the kale, you know, and they're going to be happy with that. But they're also going to come back the next week and be like, I love that moringa. Yeah. I would have never tried that, you know, and thanks for selling me for the third deal, you know, the third piece of the deal, more or less, that we do, you know, or the Malabar spinach. And people are like, I really want to try something, you know, local for, you know, your salad ingredients. You're like, this is the best local salad ingredient there is in July. For sure. You know, Malabar spinach is an excellent tasting, you know, green for salad.
And it has omegas.
Got omegas in there. And it mixes great with the romaine we got on the table. Yes. You know, put them both together and you got yourself a North Carolina / North Florida salad, you know?
Exactly.
And that's way better than you could have done at any grocery store.
Absolutely. Hands down, no question.
Hands down. When we did our first soil tests, like both phosphorus and potassium were like off the charts. So we're like, all right, great. We got 2 out of the 3 major nutrients here. We just need the most important one is nitrogen. But as long as we keep managing our system right, the phosphorus and the potassium keep on becoming available. You know, they keep on like breaking down, and they just keep cycling. So we don't really need to amend with that. But it just so happens that all of our manure comes with phosphorus and potassium. So we're always, you know, it's just a big cycle on those guys.
So they're taking a nap.
They are. That's what they do in this time of the day. They're just trying to get down there in that cool soil.
Yeah, and it is cool. Yeah. With that shade, I'm sure it's even cooler than...
That's our Cadillac right there. We have a few different shade structures, but that's the Cadillac. So I've always been like trying to design things, you know, and that one's that's one of our designs, one of my designs that I made of how to move it easily with the tractor. So we just pick it up with the tractor and move it forward with the front end loader.
Got you, because they're transient.
Yep, because you got to move it every time. You know,
beautiful.
You know, that might only move once every 20 days versus like the pigs, they get a new little block every 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
So we try to keep that shade structure like you see it's like a rectangle. So they're in their first block of the rectangle, and then every 5 to 7 days they'll get another little chunk there. I think there's 3 more chunks to go.
Okay, because I see where the fencing is.
You see that first little, we call that a divider. So like that separates them from the next block. We want them to optimize what's in there. Otherwise, they get greedy, and they'll basically just like, and not even greedy, just sloppy. They just push it all down into the soil, and then they'll like be looking at me like they don't know what to do. I'm like, no, you're supposed to eat that, you know. So, you know what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's like leftovers. You're like, I don't want the leftovers.
Exactly, yeah. And because they kind of, you know, are vying with each other, they're like, they want to get to it first, but they're really sloppy about it. So it's like, nah.
That's my kids.
Yeah.
You didn't even eat the whole cookie. You're asking me for another one just because you don't want your brother to eat the rest.
Totally. See how
more persimmons?
More persimmons. You nailed it.
Beautiful.
Yeah. This one's not even flowering. I was wondering what was going on. Maybe
it's tall though.
It is tall. That's like, so that means it's going to be an alternate bearing one. It's like some persimmons will yield really heavy one year and they'll take a year off. So that tree looks like it's going to take a year off.
Another reason why you don't utilize fruit as your main
crop. Yeah. Don't try to be just a fruit grower.
Yeah.
Put some pumpkins next to your trees. Plant some sweet corn. You know?
Yes. So is your style like? Do you think it's like a centropic or like a permaculture?
It's a little. It takes all those ideas, you know, and but it's not one or the other. It's like, in this system, if you just look down this row, it's no-till. I've never tilled that, you know?
Okay.
But if you go just 5 feet over, I've got 2 beds of pumpkins. I can't do the pumpkins with our tropical weeds in a no-till system, you know? At least not on this scale, you know?
Right.
Like, we're trying to go on a scale that the tractor can cultivate on.
Right.
And so, you know, there's all different scales of this that are correct. So, you know, for any of your viewers, you know, like a scale that's just your backyard garden box is the correct scale for you. It's all good, you know.
Yeah.
You're going to do differently than I do, you know.
Right.
Like I need to try to grow, you know, 50,000 to 100,000 pounds of pumpkins this year. I'm not going to do it in a system that I have to bring all the compost onto the top of the beds, or like to do a no-till, like no-dig system, you know.
Yeah.
It's really energy intensive to start those up, you know, and I couldn't necessarily do that on like 5 acres or so, you know.
Right.
But I can, got some trash here. I can
You don't play about the trash.
Oh no, I'm the trash man here. That's my job.
But that's what keeps a farm organic, and people like look past that.
No, it's like you look out here, you don't see any plastics.
No.
Any, like, you know, that's the goal. Is no microplastics, no plastic mulch. You know,
you cannot pay for that.
No,
that's like
so
priceless.
Important, right? Yeah.
Because right now, that is like, even in my backyard, like I started some of my beds, and I'm sorry I cut you off.
No,
Were you finished with the thought?
No, go for what you're talking about, the plastics.
Like I've done no-till, no-dig beds where I use cardboard to start. And yes, I want to say I pulled all the tape off, but really, it's
100%, it's really hard.
some tape in there.
I totally get it.
So it's like, even my own backyard food isn't as intentional, you know, because that's the other thing with like growing your own food and having a network and multiple people doing it. And that's another reason why I love that you do this. Everybody has their own intention, and I won't grow in the same way that you do. No, even if we're organic, like there's still gonna be certain things that are different. Like maybe one of these farms, instead of chickens, maybe they use goats as their manure, you know? But it's also like their local goats. So, and
they know how it fits in with their system.
Exactly.
I know that if the goats get into my orchard, I lose $100,000 of fruit real quick.
Exactly.
So goats aren't really good with our system. They will eat a lot if they get out, you know. Versus pigs, they can do a little bit of damage, but they're never gonna get up there and eat my persimmons, you know. Oh yeah,
and those goats are gonna eat everything.
They'll pull down each limb, you know, to try to get to it. Yes, so they're very mischievous, you know. Yeah.
We're back at the front.
Yeah, we kind of did a big loop here.
I definitely wanted to ask you as well, like you said that the sprayer was one of your first investments.
Oh yeah, here's some other tools here too while we're here.
Okay.
So this is nothing that your growers or your viewers would buy as the first implement.
Okay.
But man, it really did take our growing to another level. So this is a fertilizer distributor. And so what this does is it takes our heat-treated chicken manure, we put it into the hopper here, and then it drives with a hydraulic motor to drive these little dials, and it basically just drops the correct amount of fertility on the ground.
Wow.
Yeah, so this stuff, the chicken manure, the heat-treated chicken manure has kept going up in price, you know? So we have to make sure we don't waste it. You know? So it's very important to get like the correct titration out there.
Yes.
So that's what this machine did. So on a small scale, you don't need to do this. But once we were growing those acres of pumpkins, you know, 7 acres of sweet potatoes, probably like, you know, 20, 30 acres of greens throughout the year of all the different types, you know, lettuces and all this stuff. they all like a second dose of fertilizer, when they have a chance, so like,
Okay.
so we used to have to do this with a bucket. Like you have kale growing out there, and then you have to like go with a bucket by hand and put put it out near the kale. That takes forever. This
can't even
can do that
imagine.
work in just a few minutes.
And it's proportionate to
It's the correct
cereal
portion,
level. Yeah.
exactly. And nobody had to lift a bucket to go
Yeah.
to take it out there. So
For sure.
So well, we had to lift a bucket when we fill this up, but it's a lot
Yeah.
different than having to walk across the field with
The
a bucket.
labor costs.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yep.
So I want to know, like, what year did you get each of these tools?
Oh, good question. This one probably 5 years ago, so maybe year 10.
Wow.
Yeah, so we did a lot of other. We had
A lot of bucket
Well,
lifting.
we had a cone spreader, and so the
Okay.
cone spreader is something you could use in the meantime. And like I said, this material used to be like $300 a ton. Now it's $500 a ton. So as the costs are going up, you got to really look at that.
Yeah.
So the cone spreader was kind of wasteful. It would have a lot of like overspray. It like overspread. Like it was kind of the reason that some of our fruit trees and our sugar cane was so abundant, because it got the fertility it wasn't supposed to get. Like that was supposed to be in the vegetables, but it got overshot, under that with the cone spreader.
Yeah.
So we graduated to this after the cone spreader, about year 10 or so. We probably went through like 2 cone spreaders before then, because they're kind of cheaply made, more or less, And then this one's another one. if you have any sizable amount of land that's like 5 acres or more, I'd highly recommend getting a seed drill. So it's the same idea as this fertilizer spreader, except it's got more points that the seeds fall through. And so, yeah, you saw how nice our cover crops are looking out there?
Yes.
It's only possible with this tool. So this seeds the cover crops. The crop seed goes up here in this hopper, and then you pull it along the ground, and the seeds fall through there. And those little blades called coultiers, they close up the ground, or they open the ground, depending on which way they're going. And the seed's usually right where you want it, about like, inch and a half, 2 inches deep.
And so are you also able to close the valves, like if you want the spacing to be different in between the seeds?
You could. You'd have to like kind of block off one of these, but you really kind of want, in our cover crops, it's a good thing. Yeah, the answer is yes, you could do some manipulation, but it's better to find cover crops that just go good with it,
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is mostly strictly for cover cropping?
It's only for cover crops.
Okay.
Yeah, when we're sowing our crop seed, we have another little push seeder called a Jang, which I highly recommend. We're 15 years into this, and we're still using a Jang push seeder for a lot of our crops.
So when did you get the Jang?
Year 0.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
That's
before
an
we had a
initial
farm.
startup.
Before we had a farm,
Got
when we
you.
had a garden, we were using a Jang seeder.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where's the Jang?
It's just in the garage. It's small. It's a little.
Oh,
It looks like
okay.
a kid's toy. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. There's you ever seen that vacuum cleaner when you were a kid that had little popping things
Yes.
on it? That's what the Jang always reminds me of.
Okay.
It makes little popping noises like that. It's got
cool.
a clear hopper on top of it. But
Yeah.
it's nothing special, but it is. I definitely would recommend that tool. I don't get paid anything for it, but we use a lot of. We probably bought 5 of them in the last 15 years.
Got you.
They wear out eventually.
Okay.
Yeah.
But they're not as expensive as like this.
No, and this is a different job,
Yeah.
This one you want to be able to seed a lot of area at one time, and you want to
Okay.
seed it evenly. The Jang needs to be able to go between different varieties really quickly. So when we're out there and we're planting like spring mix, we're going to plant like 4 different varieties at one time. And so if you're using a machine, like a larger machine, you might have to calibrate that 4 times. And that would be a lot of time, a lot of extra work. Whereas the Jang, you can, it's versatile. It'll do all 4 of those seeds with minimal amount of adjustments or minimal amount of calibration.
Right.
So, and then also is a really good feedback on the Jang. You're walking right behind it and you're watching the seeds drop, so you know when there's a problem. With a big tractor-driven seeder, unless it's super high-tech with like cameras and stuff, you don't know if there's a problem until like 2 weeks later when your seeds aren't coming up.
Got
and
you.
it's too late. It's you've lost your opportunity. So at least with the Jang, you can solve the problem right there.
Yeah.
Versus like letting it go too far.
Yeah. For
Yeah.
sure.
So that's why I like the Jang. Even though it takes a little bit more time to walk those beds, it gives a better result at the end of it.
Right. So that's how you guys are still seeding your
Like,
stuff is with
yeah,
the
like the
Jang?
cucumbers. We just seeded cucumbers in these beds right here. We did those with a Jang. We do our all of our beans, our corn, our
The
radishes.
direct sows.
Yeah, all the direct sows. The carrots.
Okay, so the
Yep.
transplants, those are hand transplanted.
Yep. All of our transplants are hand transplanted.
Wow.
Yep. So we got like melons out in this field, watermelons, I think. All those are hands transplanted.
Wow.
Yep.
That's beautiful.
Yep. All our potatoes hand planted.
Wow.
Yeah. So there's a lot of, like I said, this is only possible with the help of dozens of angels every week.
I understand now, because The spacing is great. Like, they're pretty meticulous on.
We use a little bamboo stick. For that.
Oh,
Yep.
wow, just a bamboo stick.
Yep, super low tech, you know,
Yeah.
easy to replace. You know, we have a big bush of bamboo, just go cut yourself another stick, you know. And here's the beautiful thing. You know how we're always forgetting stuff out in the field. What happens if you forget a bamboo stick out in the field? Nothing. It turns into soil, you know, later.
Yeah.
Versus if you leave like a piece of trash or a piece of plastic or worse yet, a piece of metal, it's gonna like, you know, get into something, you know. So yeah, we're only able to walk around barefoot out there because we don't have a bunch of metal stakes and, you know, pieces of trash out there, you know.
That's so true.
Totally.
Wow.
Let's go
So
see
when
that
did you get this one?
This one, I think that we got this after that. I think I found this like 3 or 4 years ago. It might have been the year after that. And it was just a score because they're hard to find like in good condition for a used one.
Okay.
And I was able to, I just found it off of Facebook Marketplace, I think.
Shout out to Marketplace.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Somebody was like, hey, I got this thing for sale. And I went over and checked it out. I'm
Wow.
like, that's great. So, you know, got it from him. And, but yeah, that's, try to buy used when you can, you know?
Yeah.
That one I had to buy new because they don't exist on this side of the country. Nobody uses those, you know? Like they're not, we don't have a lot of vegetable farms that are at that level, you know, that they need that tool, you know?
Okay.
If you go out to California, those are everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah, so I actually went out to Salinas, California and talked to the guys at the shop with it. And I was like, all right, let's put it on a pallet and ship it back to the farm.
Yeah, so like, how did you even know that this would work? Because this isn't being done here like that. Like, where did you draw inspiration?
I actually learned a lot in California. So I lived there for 5 years.
Okay.
And I worked at farms. I worked as an inspector around farms. And so between those experiences, you know, I was able to know that like, if you want a good sized vegetable farm, you're going to need a fertilizer distributor like that, you know?
Got you.
If you want a grain farm, if you want to sow a bunch of cover crops, you're going to need to get a seed drill.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And so, yeah, just like working around other farms, you know, and I started out there in 2006.
Okay.
And so I was working at farms doing like, you know, management work, first labor, then management. And then I got injured when I was out at a farm. And so I couldn't farm for a while and I couldn't even drive. I was just an aggravated injury, you know, that just kept getting worse as I was driving.
Wow.
So I had to like figure out something I could like, you know, stay put for a little bit. And then ultimately this inspector job showed up and I was like, all right, so I only have to drive 2 days a week and the rest of the time I'm, you know, writing reports and stuff. And it was a good, like, getting my body back into it, you know? And then I was like, wait a second, this is awesome. You know, like I get to interview farmers all day, learn about their systems, you know?
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a unwritten agreement I made with all the farmers out there is like, I'm not going to start a farm here. Like there was a problem in that area of like farm inspectors. They would start a farm later in the same market that they just audited. And it's like, there probably should be a rule against it, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're literally auditing all the books, looking at all these businesses, and then starting up a business in the same market with all the information they learned, you know? So my rapport with all my clients is like, I'm gonna take this somewhere and do something with it. It won't be here, don't worry. And people were like really they open them up and they would talk a lot about their operations, and I got to meet a lot of cool people and they explained all these things to me, you know?
Yeah.
And so then it all kind of got formulated into like, all right, how do we do this here in North Florida, you know? And I knew after a year or so of farming in California, I was like, I'm never going to buy a farm out here. This is crazy. Like I mean, if your viewers don't know about California farming already, you can produce a lot more per acre, like of vegetables or fruit out there, you know, but your costs are significantly more. You know, the real estate's more, the labor's more, the water's more, the electricity's more, like everything's more, you know, and on top of all that, you have way more competition because you have so many good farms, and it's not like you can't. I mean, it's hard to compete with people that you're really in values. You have the same values, you know. You all want to make good organic produce and feed people good food. So how do you compete with that? You know, it's just oversaturated essentially. You know, so then the prices come down, and then you know, as a buyer, it's great. You know, if you go to a farmer's market in California, it might be half the price of what a Florida farmer's market is. You know, but that's because their production can sustain 8 times the production as ours can. Like for our chard, you know, you go out to a chard patch in California that's like really rocking, it'll look even like way more incredible than that. You know, it's just because the soil is so much more fertile, you know?
Yeah.
But they're having to pay, you know, $3,000 acre rent out there. You know, they're
Yeah.
having to pay $20 an hour for pickers. You know, they're having to pay all sorts of expenses that are different here. You know,
Yeah.
and not that we don't have those expenses, but it's a different economy. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yep. And so, you know, and really it's all building that, you know, how do you sustain more people and good livelihoods off of this? It's only possible with like good market. And so here the market is ripe for like local organic agriculture.
Yes, that
you
is
know,
the
we don't
beauty.
have enough, you know,
Yeah,
and that was
yeah.
where I saw like, you know, after doing all my research and, you know, traveling around a lot, living in different places, I was like, this is the place that we're needed. You know,
Got you.
this is really like where our work can be having the most impact, essentially. You know, we were going to, you know, give it our all, grow a bunch of good food for people, but we certainly don't want to be like, you know, going to the market with all this hard work and not be able to get the value that we need for it, or
Yeah.
else we'll just be another casualty, you know. And it's like there's too many casualties out there of small farms that started up,
Yes.
and then within the first 10 years, they just cannot figure out how to sustain it, you know. And there's
Yeah.
so many reasons that are valid reasons that that doesn't work out, you know. And there's a lot of things that, you know, I wish that our country could do to support that agriculture instead, you know, like you guys are doing. It's education, you know. It's like it's
Yeah.
really like bringing people out to farms and showing them like what makes this so much different, what makes the value here, you
Exactly.
know, why is this so much more beneficial for your body, your family, you know,
Yes.
your environment, you know.
All of that.
All of that. If you like drinking water, you know, this is the kind of agriculture you want. You know, you don't want a
Exactly.
bunch of chemical agriculture, or else you won't be able to drink the water. You know, so eventually it poisons
Yeah.
everything if you don't do it correctly. You know, yeah, we're seeing that like I think more and more in the last 5 years that you have to really see or plan on what happens when you take the system to the nth degree. You know, so like to the nth degree of conventional agriculture, everything dies. Everything dies,
including
you know,
us,
including the humans.
But we're the first. That's
Yeah.
the thing. Like the
maybe
insects
the insects.
and
Maybe the
everything.
insects
Yeah.
were the first, you know. But like
Yeah.
we should have known them as the canary in the coal mine when the bees can't sustain. You know,
Exactly.
I mean, it's like why can't we
have 4 years?
I know. Right?
Without bees.
It's crazy, right?
It is.
4 years without bees at your place?
Yeah,
Or-
and no, 4 years without bees until the human population
Oh.
declines completely.
that would be horrible.
Yeah,
yeah.
like if there's not bees to pollinate, we can't live at all.
It's crazy.
So it's
Think
like-
about how many crops we saw today that are like pollinated by bees, right?
Exactly,
I know.
and think about how much commercial agriculture is not focused on pollinators.
Well, and here's our take on it, because we have a nuance on everything, you know. So I like to understand our failure with the European honeybee in the name of it. It's not from here.
Right.
It's European honeybee. It has a really hard time here. And so the if everything was contaminant free, I think you can have European honeybees here. I think they can work in this system if it's contaminant free.
Yeah.
But what happens is they go 2 miles or so away from their hives. I think it's 2.5 miles is their radius, you know, and there's way too many chemicals out there. I can't
Yeah.
keep them from across the road. So across the road from here, there's a pine plantation. In that pine
Wow.
plantation, they use systemic insecticides.
Got
Thank God
you.
they don't use crop dusters or other kinds of sprays, you know. But what they do is they spread granules out in those in the large tracts of pine. There's like hundreds of thousands of acres of pine over there. Yep, and they spread fertilizer and insecticide at the same time. And so it's in those. Remember I was telling you about salt-based fertilizer.
Yes.
So when you're making the salt-based fertilizer, you can take insecticide and put it in the same molecule,
Got
or not
you.
the same material, not molecule, but
Yeah.
the same material. It's like an aggregate, you know? And then they'll put it out there with plastics and like other kinds of like preservatives, you know? And it'll
Wow.
stay out there for a year, just constantly releasing insecticide into the soil. And so then when the bees, the European honeybees, they go across the road and they forage on all like the Spanish needles or the Bidens, you know about those? One of our best beneficials here, you know?
Yeah.
But they have them in the pines over there too, except theirs are full of imidacloprid and other kinds of insecticides. So we found one of our honeybee hives had basically just crashed. This was like maybe 7-8 years ago or so. We had a beekeeper out here, and he was a really good beekeeper. And Charlie, he did like awesome stuff for us. But he eventually couldn't keep bees out here because he kept losing them. And I had lost bees before that, you know. And we have all organic in here, you know. There's no chemicals in here that would be hurting the bees. And so I was like,
Right.
dude, we got to do something about this. And so he called me up the day he was in the apiary, and he said, I got it here. This is the frame that I think they were feeding on when they died, because they feed like in a diagonal. And he found this like patch of pollen that's in the honeycomb, and it had a diagonal, and it stopped. And there's literally like hundreds, if not thousands, of bees dead on the bottom of the beehive. So we put it in the freezer, cut it out, and we shipped it out to a laboratory that week, and they tested it. They called me back that week, and they said, we got to test the sample again. This is a really weird result, you know? And so I said, okay, I'm patient, you know, I just want to know what you guys got. The next week they called back and they said, it's 18 times the detectable limit of 4-8. And 4-8 is this, it's a organophosphate that is systemic. And so it's a really nasty, you know, chemical that was in my beehives, and it's at 18 times the detectable limit. It wasn't like just a glitch. It wasn't like, oh, you know, this was, you know, an anomaly or something.
Very intentional.
Yeah, and so the only way I can actually understand how it's happening is they're getting a large amount of forage of this stuff. It's not just like one little small vegetable grower out there, you know, putting a little bit of like chemicals out. You know, I don't think that's the source of it. The source of it is that they've got like 100,000 acres of contaminated pine over there, you know?
Wow.
But on the other hand, if I invest in the native pollinators, they don't fly 2.5 miles, you know?
Yeah.
So the bumblebees and all these little like, all the little small bees, all the little small flies and stuff that love our crops out there, you know, they do a great job pollinating. And that's the message I'm trying to like teach gardeners, you know, and teach farmers. Forget the European honeybee. It's unfortunately, man has made this place too contaminated that it adds too many stresses to its list of stresses. You know, so the honeybee already has its list of stresses because it's not in Europe right now. It's in the jungle, you know, it's in Florida, you know, it's jungle sometime, and sometimes it's cold as all heck, you know, here. So, so, you know, it's not meant to be here in terms of its genetics, you know?
Yeah.
And so then, you know, you have to have measures in place to like mitigate all these stresses. And if you can't keep the contamination off at the stress list, it's dead. It dies of another stress like the varroa mite or like, you know, colony collapse disorder, you know, like they just call colony collapse disorder. Like your bees died,
That's
okay?
crazy.
Yeah, CCD. I'm like, yeah, did you test for chemicals in there? Because probably had something to do with it, you know? So, you know, it's always a list of stresses that make the CCD happen, you know, like colony collapse disorder.
Disorder, like, oh,
yeah, it's a disorder.
Yeah.
We poisoned the bees and they died. It's like, you know, what's the disorder?
That's like fetal death syndrome.
Yeah, exactly.
Similar. It's the same idea. It's a syndrome.
I've never
like,
been
what
comfortable with that one.
Not at all. No.
Because it's not random. It just doesn't spontaneously. I'm gone.
No.
Like no.
Somebody shook that kid or something, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Something horrible. Yeah, exactly. So anyway, that's my take on pollinators. And as you saw, we have no shortage of them, you know? So just keep feeding them, all the natives and the non-natives. Anything that wants to bloom flowers that'll harbor the pollinators, that's what builds their population, you know?
And what you're feeding, what it's eating.
What it's eating, it's eating the forage, bee forage more or less, you know?
Exactly.
Yep. We still keep a few honeybees out there. There's still a few hives.
Yeah, I saw that. That's cool.
That's for Dave, our mud rooster honey that we sell at the market. He keeps a few hives up here because he knows that when we get honey in, it is some of the best honey in the world. And so, yeah, it is amazing. If you guys are into honey, I don't know.
I haven't got into it yet, but he does. And I'm like,
Trey's into
maybe
it,
one
I'm not
day.
like a big honey bluff, but if there's something that I want that has honey on it, I'll eat it, you know?
Yeah.
Vegans, they don't, but I'm like,
I like it for the medicinal qualities.
Yeah, it's
like,
super medicinal. And I haven't had like a good homegrown honey.
Well, try Dave's, the mud rooster honey.
I'm going to have to.
He's got the real deal. Like, not heated, minimal filter. You know, so it's like the real raw honey.
Is it the comb or is it
He
just
sells
syrup?
the comb from time to time, but that's only when he does a bee removal.
Okay.
Most of the comb he tries to save for the bees because they need the energy of the wax and everything.
Okay.
It's kind of part of the sustainable bee management. Is that the bees need the wax more than your customers need the wax.
For sure.
Yeah.
It takes the honey's the goal.
The honey's the goal. Yeah, exactly. And for us, you know, the medicinal parts of the honey, being able to have those, I don't know exactly how it works, but you know, having the information for your immune system to not overreact to the allergens, you know, it seems to really work. I mean, there's a lot of people that I sell honey to, and myself included. You know, I buy the honey from Dave as well. I put it in my coffee every morning, and it's like, you know, I'm having way better time, you know, with that than without it. You know,
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, it does. I think it gives you like some kind of chemical information or some kind of like information to your body, your immune system of like, here's the molecule, don't freak out.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just this. It's just this.
Because my allergies have been acting up so bad.
Have they? Yeah.
Yeah, like
maybe try a little bit of
spontaneously.
wildflower, you know?
Yeah, I'm like, that's interesting. But like you said, like at the grocery store,
it's
it would have
the
to be
same.
from a farmer's market, like someone with the actual organic hive. But Yeah, I've
organic
been
beekeeping.
here.
That's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
Because the beekeepers, what you don't realize, if you're going down that path, every product has its own nuances.
Yes.
Honey, the question you got to ask the beekeepers, or if you're at a farmer's market, you're talking to the people that make the honey, ask them how they manage the pests and the diseases inside the hives. Ask them, what kind of materials go in the hives? How do they manage the weeds outside the hives? Do they use any kind of herbicides outside the hives?
Right.
Do they use any kind of antibiotics or any kind of fungicides or insecticides or growth regulators?
And now they're
inside
like,
the hives?
just walk away from my booth.
Yeah.
Just go.
I know. They're like, no.
Stuttering.
You come to our stand and we're like, this is what Dave uses.
Yes.
Dave uses all natural remedies. So he uses oxalic acid, which is the same thing you can extract that from the chard that we were just at, Chard and spinach have oxalic acid in them.
Beautiful.
So it's a food grade oxalic acid. He uses essential oils of like wintergreen, hops, oregano.
Wow.
Yeah. So these all in conjunction with like the real practices of like leaving the honeycomb for the bees to eat, and like leaving enough honey and nectar in the hives, not extracting too much at one time. All those he can actually yield a nice organic honey. It's like it's an actual chemical-free honey.
And this goes back to like the happiness of your pigs and working with other people that have the same practices.
Same values, right?
Yeah.
And
this is why it's important that we are doing this. And again, I'm just so thankful that you let us come out. Because,
of course. And I want you guys to come back another season,
Yeah, I
we'll do this once a year,
Yeah, exactly. Oh my God, I want to do that with everyone because it's like, I love being able to give people the opportunity to see where their food comes from.
That's what we're here for.
We're so disconnected from that. And even if you're not able to take the 2-hour drive to come out and see you can go on your TV and say, hey, I don't live too far from Winter Park. The farmer's market.
St.
I'm going to
Augustine,
drive
maybe?
there.
Yeah.
Because what farmer's markets are you guys at?
We do Gainesville on Monday nights.
Okay.
That's a Grove Street Farmers Market.
Okay.
So that one's awesome. Downtown, almost downtown Gainesville. That's from 4 to 7 on Monday afternoons.
Okay.
And then on Thursdays, we're at a morning market in Ormond Beach.
Okay.
So that one's really fun. That's right in front of the City Hall and the library at Ormond Beach.
Okay.
That one starts at 8 and it goes till 1, I think. And then on the weekends, we do both on Saturday, the St. Augustine Farmers Market, the amphitheater market. So that one's awesome. And I think that starts at like 8:30 or so and goes to like 12:30.
Okay.
And then we're at the Winter Park Market as well, where you know us from, And so we're your neighbors there, but we learned that we have neighbors all over the state,
Yes.
And so we're always trying to find new farmers markets to get into and everything. And for the folks to Sarasota, we really tried a lot to get into the Sarasota market this year, and they did not want us there. It was really strange. I never had seen such a hard pushback from folks that were trying to protect their own businesses, and so that's what it gets with farmers markets sometimes. They make decisions that are not really benefiting the community, but just benefiting a few special interests in the room. And I was so surprised, Sarasota Farmers Market invited me to, they were like, all right, we want you in our market. So I geared up and I did all this work. It took me months to figure it out. I got a supply chain to make it work. I found a place I was going to build a cooler at, had a lease to start a cooler and everything. And I get to the board finally, and I realized this time there was a lot of pushback of me being there because one person wanted me to be there, and then once everybody else thought that their businesses would suffer from it. And I came in and I tried to acknowledge, I was like, guys, every market that we've ever been to, we've lifted up the markets. That's what we're there for. We're here to like give people what they want in a farmer's market, all year long, throughout the summertime, throughout all this good, all the good crops that we grow out here, And so every point I met on their like goals, I was like, we're local, we're certified organic, we're transparent, we're, humane, like every point that you could possibly want for a farmer's market grower. And then in the room when I was meeting with the board, I realized every one of you has a conflict of interest here. And I'm like, oh my God, and they're all out to get me. And I was like, I've never been in such a how you say, I don't know, like a combative type situation. Hostile, that's it. They wanted to grill me on my carbon impact. Like, what's your carbon footprint gonna be? And
that
I
has
was like,
nothing to do with the farmer's market.
No, and I was like, I'm certain it's gonna be a lot better than if they went to the grocery store, sir. I was like,
isn't that the point
200 miles. Are you saying that 200 miles is too far for your customers to get organic local food? And they essentially said, so if anyone's watching this and they want to get us into these communities, especially Sarasota, we're there for you. We've already tried to get there for you, and we do deliver there, but you got to go out there and you got got to make your community know that like you
Yes.
want more local organic stuff in your markets all
Yeah.
year round, not just the sweet spot, you know,
Yeah.
but like you're going to go there in July and you're going to want, you know, organic okra, you
I
know?
wonder if I could do something like put the information, the contact information for the board
Yeah.
in the description and say like, hey, if you guys want Frog Song to be in
Totally.
Sarasota, just send them an email.
Well, here's what I've learned, Kayla, about this and about farmers markets. It's not about the front door keepers. The board is the front door keeper. A lot of times at farmers markets, what they'll do is they'll have like a contracted company, you know, like an LLC or something. They're the gatekeepers.
Got
And
you.
their job is to tell me for the next 20 years, there's no space for you, farmer. You know,
Yeah.
you can't get in here. We're full. You know,
Yeah.
like we don't have any more room for local organic farmers, you know, that are doing this, you know, for our community, because that's their message. So
Right.
to make this work, guys, if you really want us into a market, you talk to who manages the board. You talk to who's out there that actually administrates the board. It's probably the council. It's probably the city council. It's probably the
Okay.
county commissioners, you know, like the
Yeah.
people that really matter. Talk
Yeah.
to your elected representatives and have them tell the board to let more local organic farms
Yes.
into their markets.
Because it's not just a you problem, it's a we
It's a
me
we
problem.
It's a we
we
challenge.
problem.
Let's call it a
Yeah.
we challenge. You know,
It
like
is.
like we want the communities to have year-round access to local
Yes.
organic produce.
Yes.
And they'll have special interests that are embedded in these boards and these LLCs that want to see their small businesses functioning more.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I tell them. I said, guys, what we do is we bring your products everywhere. Like,
Yeah.
like you know, I want to see you guys sell more products because we're at your market. Because
Yeah.
you're going to go in July and there's going to be, you know, 10,000 people attending your market in July because you
Yeah.
have local organic produce and they buy so much more of whatever you have, you know, your cheese, your sausage, you know, all the
Yeah.
artisanal stuff because you have more people there because you have good keystone vendors that are there, you know, 52
Exactly.
weeks a year.
Yeah.
And not to mention, we're an aggregator. We take products everywhere. I had people telling me that they're hyper local and they didn't want me to take their products from Sarasota to Tampa. I was like, are you serious? Like,
That
because
doesn't
they
even
were,
make
they
sense.
didn't make sense because they were worried I was going to be displacing too many of their sales at the market. So I said, any sales I displace, I would be making up like tenfold by the amount of product that I could take and put on my truck, buy at the moment that I take in possession, and
Yeah.
sell it the rest of the state. That's what I want to do. You know, it's like, I want to sell your
Exactly.
product in Jacksonville. I want to sell your product in Orlando.
Yeah.
And I had some folks that like subscribe to this hyper localism as like, I don't want to go to those markets. I was like, well, you were just expressing the concern that you wouldn't be able to sell all your product, and I'm here to help you sell all your product.
Yeah.
And so that's what I have to do with my time,
Yeah,
Kayla.
that's a
that's
lot.
what this has come from. I used to weed, I used to hoe, I used to, you know, do a lot
Yeah.
of this all day long, you know, and now I weed and hoe for maybe 15, 20 minutes at a time, and then I have to go to board meetings, and I have to deal with, you know, special interest, and I have to deal with conflicts of interest, and I have to deal with quality control and all this
Yeah.
stuff. And so that's, you know, it's important to me, but I also want your viewers to know, like, you know, what goes into all this. You know the
Yeah.
background of it, now you got to know how it gets to you, you know. So if you want us at a local market, you know, and for some reason we can't get into that local market, talk to the administrators of the market.
Yes.
It's not the front door we go in.
Right.
We get the front door to be commanded to be open by the people that control above that.
Exactly.
So that's ultimately the community that needs to, you know, invite us in, and we're there. When the community invites us in, you know, Winter Park invited us in, we've been a keystone vendor there for, you know, 13, 14 years
That's
now, you know.
amazing.
St. Augustine, they invited us in 2012, never looked back. It's been
Yeah.
amazing. You know, it's
And
like
there's
just
like
constant growth.
4 other produce vendors there.
Yeah.
So even that theory is very not realistic.
No.
But I think it also I have to say that I haven't seen any other vendor do what you're doing.
Okay.
I've been to a lot of farmers markets, you know, all
Yeah.
over Orlando,
Yeah.
and none of them are certified organic
And transparent, right?
And transparent.
Yeah.
A
Telling
lot
you
of
the
them are
sources of all
taking
that.
stickers off,
I know, that's the
and
worst.
you know, importing from Mexico and all of these
Yeah,
different
they got
places.
the PLU stickers that say from Mexico.
Yeah,
and, they're like,
and even like when you get down to how these growers in these other countries are getting these produce, like Mexico specifically, there's an avocado cartel.
Oh yeah, it all
Like-
has to go through organized crime.
Yeah.
I'm glad you know that, because I always ask people, how much do you trust the mafia with your cucumbers?
Exactly.
Because they're the ones that grew your organic cucumbers, in parentheses. So what happens in the mafia when you run out of organic cucumbers to sell, but you have a bunch of non-organic cucumbers?
Exactly.
Why are they called the mafia?
Exactly. Exactly.
You know,
And are
it's
you okay with people's children being threatened so that you can
Oh,
have
it's
an
horrible.
avocado?
Oh gosh,
It's
there's so many
sad.
things that are broken I would just say, without singling Mexico out,
Yeah.
it's really the international commodity trade. You
Absolutely.
know, and it could be chocolate in Africa. It could be like fruit picking in Chile. It could be, you know, like all sorts of stuff. Grapes in Argentina.
Yes,
you know,
dates.
Sugar in Brazil. Dates in the Middle East. Like,
It's
oh my gosh,
crazy.
there's so many things that go on when you can't control that, you know?
Exactly.
And
when
so
people get greedy.
People get greedy, yeah.
And they don't have the values that you do.
It starts off with all these organic farms that have good values, but then once it gets into the supply chain, what happens? You know, like it gets mixed with all this other stuff. You know?
Exactly.
And that's the real
it's
problem.
bigger than what they could even, like you get into these rooms, like you said, with these people, and it's like, you feel powerless.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So you just basically have to focus on what you do well, and that's what, you know, we just kind of, this is what we do, and we support our communities. We see our community as pretty much all Florida. I mean, like, I mean, eventually we'll be in South Florida, you know, but like, you know, Central Florida, you know, Tampa, all the way up to Jacksonville, North Florida, you know, this is our community. And it's like, and so, you know, we might drive an hour or two to come see you. That's not that far. It's like, you know, it's like, I love it when people, customers at the farmers market be like, that's so far. And I always joke, I was like, good thing I didn't think so.
Yeah, because we were driving here today,
you know?
like, damn, he drives all the way here every week.
I did that last night,
Yeah.
Yep, drove back from the market, you know.
So. Oh my gosh,
but,
it's amazing. Thank God for your commitment.
Well, thank you. You too, man. You guys are doing amazing stuff. So this is the commitment of keeping people tuned in with what they're doing.
Yeah, it's a passion for sure. It has to be. It has to be your purpose.
Very much. Purpose driven.
Yeah, because it's leisurely.
Stay healthy.
Exactly.
Stay healthy.
So let's see the sprayer.
Oh yeah, let's go. Let's see. Actually, if you want to pull up the car, good deal.
And we could talk for hours. Like,
oh yeah, that's why I said you got to come back.
And hours, yeah.
This is just round one.
Yeah, but 20 years of growing experience. There's so much wealth that you have to share.
Thanks. Keep on learning. That's the goal. You know.
Yeah.
Don't ever think you know it, because by the time you think you got to figure it out, that's the biggest mistake. It'll all change.
When you get
the chili threat comes in.
Yeah.
You thought you knew strawberries. Now we're gonna throw in the wild card. Here it is, you know.
Exactly. Here's a little more learning.
Here's another challenge, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, it's always changing. It's dynamic, but it definitely makes sure you're never bored. You know?
Yeah.
So that's the important thing.
For sure.
Yeah. Constant challenges, but at the same time, you know, whenever any of my team gets kind of frustrated and they're like kind of losing sight of like what we do, I always tell them like, hey, you need to go to the farmer's market so that you can talk to some people that are really grateful for what you do, you know, and then they come back and like, oh, I get it now. Like,
exactly.
I just needed to hear thank you like 200 times.
Yes.
It's like, all right. Oh, hey, look at these.
Yeah.
I think these just ripened since we were
now.
I'm pretty sure they ripened in the last few hours. They were not there before.
Yeah, that's a lot of black ones.
You see them?
That's crazy.
We totally looked for black ones before and they weren't there.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
It took 3 hours.
Yep.
I want that one up there.
Yeah. You have to be a bird to get up there.
Oh my gosh. These are beautiful mulberry trees.
I swear that they ripened up just in the last few hours.
No, seriously, because look at this one. It's right here.
I know. We totally looked at these branches before.
Yeah. That one's a little iffy.
Oh yeah, it might have been over.
No, it had a bite out of it. Not only did it ripen, but something found it before me.
The birds. They love them. Yeah. Oh, this is kind of a cool shot. We didn't get up here yet.
Is this another mulberry?
Yep.
Holy moly.
Yeah, this one's almost done. It's like it didn't really yield much at all this year compared to previous years.
So what do you mean done?
Like just the flowers are all done for the season.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it'll keep growing vegetatively, you know.
Okay.
But we'll see what we got here if there's any to pick over.
Oh, and these are your onions drying.
Yeah, I wanted to show you those. Those are pretty cool.
Wow.
Oh, there's a few on here, for sure.
There's so much shade under this.
I know.
Yeah, I didn't know mulberry trees.
Now be careful when you pick this tree because they're kind of overripe and some of them have been picked through. So I mean, sometimes they got a lot of bugs and stuff in them. So
oh yeah,
just
that's
give
all
it a
mulberries.
good inspection. The other ones are really clean. These ones are maybe somewhat more challenged.
Oh yeah.
So come check out these onions here.
These are my favorite.
So here, we convert our greenhouse into onion drying facility for a moment, just for a few weeks.
I took the long way.
That's all good.
But wow, that was so juicy.
Yeah, some of these are really good, huh?
Delish. I'm like getting my afternoon snack.
Of course.
A little stink bug.
Yeah, the stink bugs love these. So.
It smells so nice right here.
Yeah, it smells like onions, doesn't it?
Oh my God, but the best
Smells like
onions.
a soup or something. You're about to make a soup base.
Yeah, they're like sweet onions.
Yeah, these are awesome onions. I love these. So these are from the first 2 plantings. We're into like the 3rd, 4th, 5th planting right now. But as the tops get kind of ugly, we harvest them all like this, put them out on the benches, and we just dry them for about a week and a half or so.
Okay.
And then we'll put them away in storage once they're dried down. And so we'll have these onions getting stored probably until like June or July. We'll sell out of all these onions.
Wow.
Yeah, this is onions.
June or July?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. So a few more months. Maybe like 8 weeks, 10 weeks, we can keep
That's
them around.
not that long though.
No, well, that's more based on sales. Like we got a lot of people that want these onions. So
Yeah.
we'll be able to sell them out pretty quickly. But see what happens is the skin starts tightening up and it starts drying out.
Okay.
And that converts it to be able to store. And so we'll have to take off the roots and we'll put this into like a bin. And then as we get orders for them, we'll check them one more time, make sure that they're not soft or anything. And then we'll pack them for orders. But this is the Vidalia style onion. We call them Florida Sweets. Same varieties that grow in Vidalia.
They're just not the huge.
Sometimes they get big for us, but not often. You know, like
Okay.
our fertility is a lot more ununiform. You know, because of how the pigs go. And
Yeah.
So sometimes they grow giant, and a lot of times the giant ones already got picked because we've been picking them fresh, like you saw at the market. You know, with the tops on. So we've been focusing on those, the best ones for the market.
Okay.
These are kind of like the lefties, like what we're still in the field, but we don't want to waste them.
Yeah.
So we go pick these all, dry them out, and then we'll sell them. Especially the chefs love these, like the little Cipollini style, you know,
Yes.
like they're so flavorful. So you know, we take those to some of the 5-star restaurants, and they do some really cool stuff with them, and it's fun. You know.
It's also something to say about how thin the skin is on the outside.
Yeah, it's real delicate, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it almost is like I want to eat it.
Eat the skin.
Yeah, it's probably a little
I
papery.
don't know if you could.
I just want to see if it has flavor.
Yeah. Like a little like paper.
Like a veggie stock.
Oh yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because you know, a lot of times like homesteaders talking about using the scraps from when you cook and
Yeah.
like boiling it down and then straining it.
Getting all the good stuff out of it.
Yeah, and this I'm sure would be a lot easier to process, like
Totally.
and break down.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's one of our processes. We run a lot of different processes to like store food and get it ready for the market.
Yeah.
And this just happened. We've learned about this probably the last 10 years that like around this time of year we stopped using our greenhouse for a lot of transplants. There's not a lot more transplants that are going in the field, or very few. You can see the ones that are over there.
Yeah.
And so then we have this awesome space that has everything you need for an onion dryer. Like, well, let's double use it, and it does better in here than the dehydrator. We have a large dehydrator too, but this does more volume at one time, and it seems to do it quicker. Something about the sun in this process is beneficial. Our dehydrator is all in the dark, so it's more like for fruit and stuff like that, But this is like a dirty environment, so onions are dirty, so they're good, Like, it doesn't matter if they get any sand on them.
Yeah.
You cannot get sand on fruit, So,
Right.
Yep.
Bringing all that inside. And
Exactly. So we'd rather do, kind of like our dirty process out here where the dirt goes on the ground. It's no problem, on the floor. And then the dehydrator is just for like, well prepped, persimmons and things like that. We do our dried fruit products.
Is this the soil that you use to start your transplants?
Yeah. I'll give these guys a...
Which is awesome because ProMix is a great brand.
Yeah, these guys do good. This MPO is a pretty darn good mix.
Yeah.
And so in terms of like the price and like the being able to have like it's a living substrate, it's got mycorrhizae in there.
Yes.
So this one, ever since I've been making this one, this is our go-to. And we at one point a long time ago mixed up our own stuff. It's just you can't do that as a small grower.
Yeah.
You got to find a product that that's like uniform, for you.
Yeah.
So that we can. So we don't get overwatering or underwatering,
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Before we get too carried away, let's go see the sprayer.
Oh.
It's right over here. So this is our workhorse.
Wow.
You can see it's covered with the clay,
Yeah.
But this is if
Holy
you're
moly.
a vegetable farmer over a few acres, I would highly recommend getting something like this. It only sprays about like 1.5 acres at one time for the rate that we use it. So we're literally using like 300 gallons out there for 1.5 acres.
Crap.
Yeah, so that's a lot.
So you fill this up 4
Yeah.
times.
The 300 acre, the 300 is all the way to the top. So we'll throughout a week we might spray 3 or 4 different sprays with this.
Wow.
Yeah, to get all the different orchard crops and all the different
Yes.
things that need it, you know?
Wow. I
Yeah.
would think that 1 tank would be enough for everything.
Nope, that's only if you're using powerful pesticides, you know?
Got
Nope, when you're using
you.
clay and when you're using diatomaceous earth, it's really a lot of volume
Okay.
for what you got to cover, you know?
That puts things in a perspective. So like you would say like 50-50 the ratios of clay to water?
No, we use in this tank for your listener or for your viewers to know, we use about 25 pounds of clay per 100 gallons of water. So if we're going to
Wow.
fill up the
So
whole
a
tank, it'll be
fourth.
75.
Got you.
75 pounds of clay for 300 gallons of water.
That is
And then
crazy.
diatomaceous earth, I think, is 80 cups of diatomaceous earth for 300 gallons.
Okay.
Yep. So you can do the
Yeah.
ratio of what it would be. Yeah.
Wow.
But yeah, 300 gallons, 80 cups of.
That's some
DE.
beautiful information that you just gave. I know someone is like,
Yeah.
oh,
I know. Like, let me try that.
Thank you, John.
Let's see if that works for my pests, you know.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll help. And
and so someone is on
So
the
this goes on the tractor.
with the gun.
yeah, so basically this hooks up to the tractor. This goes to the PTO on the back of the tractor. So
Okay.
PTO is power takeoff. It's what drives it. So the tractor drives the motor here. This is a pump actually, and the pump it circulates all the liquid. And this
Okay.
one's specifically made so it's got like a like an agitator in the middle here.
Yes.
So it's constantly agitating that mix, and the clay or the DE will stay in solution.
And it gets it all the way to the bottom. Like you can spray all
oh,
of
yeah.
it with it being agitated.
Yep.
This is
good.
huge.
Good to the last drop, basically.
Wow.
Yep. And then back here is actually the boom, and so one of our booms got broken. It went boom. So we have it being got it being fixed. But if you look up there, that's the other wing. So that goes down flat, and that you know that's and you can look here too. These are some nozzles. Maybe not. Looks like the other nozzles out of there. So it looks like this is our primary boom that we're using right here. And so that
no one's actually holding it and spraying like this.
they will with this.
Oh, okay.
So this is what we use for the orchard. So this is our pistol. Yep. So this is what we hold from the tractor seat, and you can spray the trees with. But when we're spraying the chard or when we're spraying the potatoes, we use these guys. So this will drop down horizontally. It's got like a hinge right there, you know?
Yeah.
And then it'll douse those leaves. That's the goal, is to like basically get all the leaves covered with that spray.
That is
So-
amazing.
So yeah, for you know, we have a vegetable farm and an orchard. You got to have some special equipment, you know, like
Yeah.
and so that was I think year 2 or 3 that we ended up buying that thing, and you know we have to put a lot of work into keeping it up and everything. Like this week we had to fix one of the wings. It's got 2 wings on it, so you only saw one wing because one wing had to go to a special welder to get welded.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was year 5 that you made that investment.
I think year 3 maybe on this
Year
one.
3,
Yeah,
wow.
yeah. The change you want to see.
And that's why I have to do this, to highlight people that are being the change.
Thank you. That's
Yeah.
what we want to aspire. We want
For
to.
sure.
And like, I'll tell you all about all the folks that work here. There are so
Yeah,
many. You know, you
I-
came on a Sunday, so it's like
No,
it's
it's
like,
perfect.
Yeah,
It's
Sunday's a
perfect.
nice, peaceful day. Every other day, when you come out here, we're gonna have a lot of activity, a lot of great stuff moving around. There's so many moving parts. You'll see, like, you know, 1 or 2 tractors moving across the field. You know,
Wow.
you know, over a dozen people out, like helping with various things, you know, like weeding, planting, harvesting.
That's
All that
awesome.
good stuff. So I cannot do this by myself. You know,
Yeah,
that's- yeah.
As you were talking, all of that was going in my head. I'm like, that's amazing.
So yeah,
you've
what I
been
end
able
up
to
doing all day
create.
is I end up like trying to make sure the ship stays on course, you know? Like that's
Yeah.
it. I wish I just got to get like, you know, go weeding for like 4 hours or go planting
Exactly.
for like 2 hours,
Yeah.
go harvesting
Yeah.
for 3 hours.
Actual work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I still try to like every day get my hands in the soil, do something, you know, like
Yes.
I'll go pull weeds for a few minutes or something, or I'll
Yeah.
go and, you know, do something that's like actual farm work. But